Coming to life from Lake Koyamaike, a picturesque lagoon situated just to the west of Totori City. A large lake steeped in myth with a circumference of around 16 kilometers. It's considered Japan's largest pond. We're here today with the PondCast episode number 19. Wait. 1919. And as usual, I am, of course, your host, Yaku of the Zaku. And with me today is el autor de la pregunta que abre el administrador de tareas, Light_VIP, as well as conservator klimatiache kitore nie razumie koncepcie Prostovnicie Plikov Kuro 16 Squats and Seki. How we doing?
What's up, Yaku? What's up? It's great to be here. It's great to be back once again with another edition of the PondCast. This is your weekly dose of, updating you in the goings on of StarCraft 2, and there's still so much more news.
Yeah. Well, comparatively lighter compared to last week,
True.
but still a lot of big changes that we have to go over, and a couple of major online tournament results coming in as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's great to have you on once again, Yaku, as well. I know we've been getting a little bit busy, and you haven't been able to cast as much, but at least we're able to have you on for your regular kind of weekly show here on the podcast.
Yeah. And now I too can get updated along with the audience.
Exactly. Really, that's the only reason why we bring you on, is just so you can also be up to date with everything else. True. Exactly. But here we go. So first things first, here on the podcast, we're going to be starting things off with the roster changes. Last week, yes. I mean, for the past couple of weeks, especially here in the off season of SC2 of EPT, we have had a lot of players kind of switching rosters, switching teams, some players leaving, others joining. There's been a lot going on over the past month.
Yeah, and a lot of changes that I think we feel have been a little bit of a long time coming, right? Or a couple of changes that we were kind of expecting for a while are kind of materializing or have materialized in the past week. So let's begin with one of the big ones, I think. One of the big ones, and also one of the first ones to be announced. Na'Vi has suspended their StarCraft 2 roster, which means that Allmate Spirit, Allmate Peter is, now, for the time being, going to be teamless.
Yes, Piotr is going to be teamless here, and this is something that we kind of expected. It's kind of been looming in the background here, is the fact that a lot of these big teams did sign rosters specifically for EWC, specifically for the Esports World Cup, and as a result, now that the EWC has concluded, at least for the year, and we don't have full confirmation of whether or not it's coming back next year when it comes to SC2 coming back to EWC, those teams are kind of, thinning out their rosters and at least for now suspending their players or letting them go.
Yeah, we'll see what will happen with them in the next coming weeks, and we'll see if they do end up getting re-signed if we do get another season of Esports World Cup, or EWC, I suppose, or EPT, whichever one that is. But this is something that I think we've kind of expected. I have to wonder who's going to be lining up to sign Spirit. I feel like now's the time, KJ. Get him back.
True. Get him back. I mean, based on the wording of Navi's post, where they specifically say that they're temporarily suspending, that does let us know that if the EWC does come back, that they do intend to pick Spirit back up if he's available, right? Like, if he's still an available agent, it does sound like they're more than willing to embrace another player in that kind of case.
Yeah. But, again, for the time being, it's a little unfortunate situation here that a lot of our players will be finding themselves in unless somebody's able to pick them up soon.
Exactly. So that did occur to Spirit, and the same can be said for Estrella Max Angel. He joined Virtus Pro again back in May of 2024, so it hasn't even been that long. But as we just spoke about, EWC has concluded. As a result, Virtus Pro has let Estrella go as well.
Yeah, we do get a little bit more details coming out from Virtus Pro. They do mention, we kind of knew this already, but they did mention that they were focusing a lot more on the other titles and They picked
Mhm.
up. They didn't think it was particularly like the reason why they picked up Australia was specifically for the Esports World Cup, and they're not. Really. They don't really think that their organization is compatible with StarCraft, so they were glad to have Australia on for the temporarily. But now that we are in the off season, they're going to be focusing more on their other team titles that
Mhm.
historically they've been a lot more focused on.
Exactly. And just like with Navi, the wording is also kind of insinuating that they're going to be coming back into SC2 in the future. I think the last line was the SC2 division is put on hold, but we may return to the world of RTS in the future. So
Ooh, the world of
again,
RTS.
yes, yes. So again, does leave the door open. Again, if SE2 is back in EWC, then they might re-sign or sign a different player in the future as well. Again, we're still in the off season, and we're hoping that we get some news soon. But that is
Mm-hmm.
also why a big shout out to Vitality, because up next we have, instead of a player being let go, we have a player
Yes.
re-signed instead.
Yes, Maru has been re-signed into Team Vitality, which I don't think was a surprise to many, but what was a surprise to me, Light, is that they specify until 2026. So that either they know something behind the scenes or they're taking a massive gamble here, because that's quite a long-term investment here from Team Vitality.
Yeah, so a couple of things that we are at least aware of when it comes to EWC. I believe the Esports World Cup, I believe, because their overall like 5-year plan was actually leaked, like I want to say a month ago. Maybe it was after the end of EWC. Some team organization ended up leaking it, and it got out there. And it was a really long document going over like their overall plan, their overall structure, and the years ahead of them. And they did plan, at least when this was released, to keep going until 2028, if I recall correctly, for EWC. What isn't specified is the games, right? Like, as
Yes.
you mentioned, that is where the gamble comes in, where EWC may continue until that year, but is StarCraft 2 going to get involved? Again, we don't really know that, and I do feel like Vitality are maybe taking a chance here.
Mhm.
But if they are, like, I mean, more power to them. It's really exciting to
Yeah.
hear that they're satisfied with Marver. I mean, he is one of the best players in the world. Like,
Yeah.
true.
Without a doubt. Historically, probably the best Terran player. I mean, I don't think you'll find anybody who will really contest that anymore. In a few years, I'm holding out for Clem, but as of right
Yeah,
now, I think you have to say that Maru is without a doubt the greatest Terran player that in the history of StarCraft 2.
yeah. And I'm also curious as to how as to what this also means, because if you remember, it was only last week. Last week we announced that Solar got let go, right? Solar got let
Mhm.
go of Vitality. This week Maru
True.
re-signed. I'm curious if that means anything. What I mean
Hmm.
by that is I wonder if Vitality may be intended to also have Solar on for a longer contract, for a longer period of
Right.
time.
True.
But military, right? Military service is a thing that Solar hasn't done yet. I wonder if that's a factor. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. That's just speculation. But that's also something that like a lot of these teams, a lot of these players have to consider, is like when exactly they want to do their military service, right?
True. Maru also hasn't done military service yet, but I mean, 2026 he can still defer for I think another year. What's the deadline in Korea? I think like 30. Like if you don't
Mhm,
go in by the time you're 30, if you don't have an excuse, then you cannot
mhm,
defer any further. So
mhm.
yeah, Solar is like that's coming up very very soon. That's coming up very very soon for him, and for Maru, it's also coming up soon, but there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more time for him.
Yeah. I remember that was my at least speculation previously. So yeah, I'm curious as to how that does unfold, and I'm curious to see what happens with Solar as well. Whether he signs long term onto another team, whether it is having to do with military service or not. It's kind of hard to tell, hard to say. But regardless, we at least have confirmation that Maru is going to be sticking around for many years to come.
Yeah, at least two more. I,
Yeah.
yeah. I wonder what happens to the contract though if they sign Maru and then all of a sudden there's nothing to play in anymore. I think
There,
I
there
think it just terminates like automatically, right?
I would imagine they added a clause there where, like, we have you signed on for this long, but if there
Right.
is no EWC competitive circuit, then they
If
are,
there's no
they have the
EWC, if
ability
there's
to.
no GSL, if there's no like
Imagine,
big premier tournaments.
imagine if
Yeah,
they like, well, if there's no StarCraft and Mario 2 bad, you have to play like Stormgate or Verspace now.
You have to play something, yeah. Go join our Counter-Strike team.
There you go. It's possible. It's possible. But yeah, regardless, exciting news here. Likewise, when it comes to players joining teams, if you recall, I feel like week after week over the past 3 podcasts, we've been announcing a new player for Streamer Zone, and they had a 4th player, and I think we, or at least I had assumed that, okay, 4 players, that's a good place to stop. Are they going to keep going? Probably not. Never mind. They kept going. They have a 5th player.
They do. Baby Marine has now joined Streamer Zone, really rounding off their roster there. I'm just going off of memory. Yep, rounding off their roster, getting another Terran player in there, another EU player as well. So, yeah. They don't have a Zerg player yet, but 2 Terran, 3 Protoss, if I remember correctly, that's still fine. Or, yeah, 3 Protoss, 2 Terran. You can still get away with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, shout out to Baby Marine for finding a new team. I mean, he's been teamless for a while. There was like a period where he was on Team Roddy. There was a period where he was on Platinum Heroes, but for a long time he was teamless. So it's really cool to see that he is now joining a team. Baby Marine was a little bit less active last year, but this might motivate him to continue to compete and continue to improve. And yeah, I'm just really curious to see, is this the end of the new acquisitions for Streamer Zone? Or are they going to keep going? Like a 5-player team, like that's a pretty hefty roster already, considering that you need like at least 3 for WTL. So yeah, it's interesting.
And at a certain point nowadays, you probably hit a point of diminishing returns, right? At least when it comes to, if you're going to be focusing on WTL at least, then if you sign too many players, there's a very real chance. I mean, we've seen in the past, half of your roster doesn't even play in the team leagues.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big issue with Platinum Heroes, right? Like, they had such a big roster to the point where they even formed a 2nd team just so they could try to compete with some of their other players. And I mean, on the one hand, like, it's really cool to have a large team like that, but at the same time, and we saw the outcome of that, is that they did bleed out a lot of players after the season, or even throughout the season as well, just because they had such a hefty roster. So yeah, we'll see if 5 is kind of the magic number for Streamer Zone, or if they pick up another player. As you pointed out, it would be nice if they go to Zerg. It would be nice if they had some balance there among the races.
Yeah, but you can get away without having the Zerg player.
Yeah,
well, can you? Now that I think about it, because I was thinking back, can you though? Because Team Vitality had 1 Zerg player and no Protoss. You can get away without a Protoss player, as they have shown. Team Basilisk have proven that you can get away without a Terran player. That's 2 Zerg, 1 Protoss. Have we had a team that has shown that you can get away without a Zerg player? Well, maybe Streamer Zone will prove it to us.
I mean, we've had like mass Protoss lineups. If you remember, like Platinum Heroes had like a purely Protoss lineup for a while. I want to say Twisted Fairy, or sorry, Twisted Fairy.
Twisted Fairy.
They fielded, they fielded like
and the rest.
Yeah, classic stats and shameless, and they'd feel like nonstop Protoss for a while as well. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Streamer Zone. We'll see if this is the end of their acquisitions, or if they just keep going and go for a 6th player as well.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more of these players spread out to other teams, right? So that they can compete against each other, and so we do have a little bit more. We don't have a situation where we have our A team and then our B teamers and our C teamers don't really get to debut that much. But yeah, I mean, whatever gets some support, I suppose.
Yeah,
some support is better than no support.
Exactly. So congratulations to Baby Marine. Meanwhile, we're going to be heading over to one of the WTL kind of founding teams. They've been around in WTL for a very, very long time. Starlight Twinkle. They have announced their disbandment of their at least pro roster.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, they were around for the start of WTL, and if I remember correctly, they were also around for the team league that was prior to WTL, the Gold Team League, or the GPTL, the Gold Pro, something along those lines by a C-Boy. And Yeah, this is, I think, probably a pretty big surprise to most of us, just because of how
Yeah.
historic they've been.
Yeah, and I mean, as a team, it sounds like they're still going to be together, especially with their Chinese lineup, with their more semi-pro lineup. We're referring to like Rewhite, for example, and Jolio Loves, or their other players that they did have on the team. But their pro roster, including Chim, Cristiano, and Wayne, have since left the team. So yeah, we'll see what happens to them, just because those are very, very strong players. I'll be honest, if this was announced a little bit sooner, I would have said a lot of these players would have been some really good pickups for Streamer Zone. Like Streamer Zone,
Cham
I
and
think they would have
Cham
they
and
would have
Wayne,
really, yeah. I mean,
Zerg
especially
players.
true. But Cristiano, he streams. Like Cristiano, he
True,
does
yeah.
stream as well, more so than Geralt, I want to say. So like even he would have been a nice fit for Streamer Zone as well. So yeah, it is a bit of a shame that this happened afterwards, but hopefully they find
Yeah.
a nice home.
So team owners, keep your lookout.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Cham, Wayne, and Cristiano, they're all amazing players, all deserve to be on teams. So we'll see if they get picked up, especially if there is another season of EWC or WTL announced. So hopefully they get that support. As that concludes our roster changes for the week. Again, still a lot of roster changes. I'm sure more to come next week. But up next, we do have an article written by Wax Angel.
Yes, Wax Angel. Yes, not to be confused with Max Angel. That's Australia.
Oh, shit.
So yes, it was written by Wax Angel. So this was by Wax, and it's an article detailing, or rather, it's a bit of a retrospective of the ESL Open Cups, which, I mean, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it was really nostalgic reading this article, just because it just goes to show just how long this event has been, these Open Cups have been running, right? Ever since the COVID era of StarCraft, ever since 2020, week after week after week, we've had these Open Cups, and yeah, it's just really cool seeing the numbers every time.
A couple of narratives to be formed in these Open Cups, a couple of that we've formed as well.
Yeah.
After seeing these players week after week after week, just continuing to sign up and play very consistently. So yeah, it did hit me with a little bit of that nostalgia. It's a very comprehensive article, just going through all of these stats and all of the wins, percentages, sign-up rates, and all of these things. Real cool to see from Wax Angel.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. I understand why it took a little while to publish this, since the ESL Open Cups closed, I think 2 months ago or something like that. But yeah, looking at all of these statistics, yeah, this would have taken a while to go over.
Definitely. I mean, it also shows like how dominant some players were in certain regions as well. I mean, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. But going over it, Clem does claim the #1 spot as winning the most amount of Open Cups, which makes sense because Clem alongside MaxFax would double dip and they'd play in like Europe and Americas.
Yeah. They are the ones who have won the most. They have the highest championships, the highest win rates. But here's where I throw out my disagreement.
Okay.
Because it was phrased in the conclusion of this article, the greatest ESL Open Cup players, which to me is not synonymous with the best. And so I have to say, while Clem and MaxFax may have been the best, the greatest without a doubt was Hero Marine.
Oh, okay.
Hero Marine with honorable mention to Zest, but I would put Hero Marine as the GOAT Open Cup player coming in here, because he's the only one who, if he hadn't played in all of those ESL Open Cups, or at least to my memory, if somebody wants to do the math and prove me wrong, then I'm not open to that. But you can post it publicly if I'm wrong. I believe if Hero Marine hadn't played in all of those Open Cups, he would not have qualified for IEM, I think 2022 was what it was. Everyone else on this list, based on their regional placements, Clem, MaxFax, MaxFax didn't play in IEM Katowice anyway, but he was eligible for it. Zest, Björn, all of the rest of them, by their regional placements alone, would have been able to qualify for the IEM World Championship for IEM 2022-2023. Hero Marine needed that extra boost, and he knew that, and so that's why he just week after week after week played, gave his all, and managed to managed to get himself in, managed to qualify from
Yeah.
there.
I mean, that's something really important to point out. Something that actually wasn't shown here, which I find interesting, as you point out,
Well,
is that this article goes through a bunch of win rates, wins in general, how many cups they've won and stuff like that. It actually didn't go over how many EPT points were earned per player, and how
well,
impactful that was specifically. Because as you mentioned, Hero Marine, it was really important for him. Like that,
yeah.
that's. I feel like a lot of people don't think about it, right? The EPT points specifically, just because you're correct, they typically don't really have too much of an impact because there aren't that many points, and a lot of these players that
Individually, there aren't
win,
that many points.
yeah, exactly. But they add up over time, and they do matter. It wasn't just Hero Marine, if you remember. It wasn't necessarily. Oh, it was EPT points related as well. But this most recent
I guess
season, there was a race between Coffee and Lancer because
Yes.
because Oliveira had already claimed his spot, which means the number one Chinese spot was up
Yes.
for grabs, and both Coffee and Lancer were racing for as many points as possible to barely make their way in.
Yeah. That's huge. I mean, I understand why Wax didn't do that or didn't include that because that would have added like another 1 or
It's
2
true.
months to this article. But yeah, it
It's
would have been
true.
nice to have.
Mhm.
I'm tempted now. I'm tempted to start and then look at all of the numbers and then be like, well, that's more numbers than I have fingers. So
Yeah, because
I
well,
gotta
the thing is,
calculate all of them.
it would take a lot more work because it isn't just checking, how many points were earned per player. It's checking each season to see how important the
Yeah.
points were, right? Like how they affected rankings, standings, and who did and didn't make it in, if there was at all any kind of change there. So there would have to be a lot of work going into that to figure out whether they mattered or not for a certain player. But yeah, that is a good thing to point out for both Hero Marine and Coffee, Lancer, and maybe some others. But yeah, it was also just really nostalgic going over. And what surprised me the most is how high Zest was in that
Yes.
Korea Asia standings, considering how considering he
it's
only
been
played
like
in
2
2
years since
years.
he went to
Yeah.
the military. Yeah, he's been gone for 2 years, but in the
Mhm.
initial 2020 and 2021, and I think the
Mhm.
first half of 2022 as well, he was. I mean, we bring this up a lot, and we used to bring this up whenever we casted Zest, when he played over and over and over again every single week.
Mhm.
Literally, in 2021, he made it to the finals of IM Katowice. Well, I'm not sure if you can call it IM Katowice, but the IM World Championship. He made it to the finals. The morning before his match, he was playing in ESL Asia.
Yeah.
And it was
This is
so
why.
surprising to everyone. It was like, Zest, don't you have to prepare? Don't you have to? Aren't you afraid of being analyzed? And he's like, no, I got this. I have to play.
Yeah, I mean, for context, as you're saying, Zest, we started our own meme because it wasn't just Zest in the Asia standings. If you look on over, he's even in the top standings of the Americas as well, which is crazy. He's in both. He's in top 5, top 6, top 7. And we would joke that Zest, he's that kind of player where his family would be in danger, his mother would be in the hospital or something, and he'll be there. He'll be there to play in ESL.
Yeah, his firstborn kid is about to be born. He'll be in the waiting room with a laptop and just on his lap using a trackpad and be like, "No, I have to play."
Exactly. He's got to feed his family, Poppy. Oh my god. So Zest, he'd be there week after week after week after week, and to the point where we would start memeing about it as well. And I mean, that was the trend. He was the ESL Open Cup champion for that period of time. He was kind of the dominant force, and then of course, he went to the military, and he hasn't been able to or at least newer viewers don't really know that narrative, but he's still up there in those standings, which is crazy. I mean, that shows the test of time, how dominant he was for that period of time.
Yeah. It was insane.
Crazy.
Yeah, and then of course we have some of the other things that kind of brought back some memories. We have the Dark and Hero rivalry. It looks like Hero took the slight edge in the overall win rate, but I believe Dark is slightly higher when it comes to Asia. Oh no, actually, yeah, they're tied when it comes to Asia.
Yeah.
It's Americas where, well, actually, I was gonna say it's Americas where Dark is slightly ahead of Hero, but overall Hero is still has a better win rate than Dark by the looks of things.
For specific win rates, yeah, I mean, I think that because that also tracks even tournaments that they didn't win, right? So that's
Yeah, even if they
uh
didn't win the entire, even if they weren't the champion, the
yeah,
win
yeah,
rate still
yeah,
gets counted. Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, as you're saying, Hero and Dark. I also wanted to touch on the fact that during the era of Zest was also the era of Cure. Like Cure, he's actually
Right.
tied with Zest with that many wins, and I feel like that could be
I remember
surprising
that
to people
now.
because yeah, nowadays Cure isn't as dominant in the ESL weeklies, but he was back in the day. You know, back a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I remember every time we used to cast Cure in EPT Asia or ESL Open
Mhm.
Cup Asia, and it was like, all right, I hope you don't play against a Protoss player because I cannot deal with another one of your. I cannot deal with casting another one of your 3 racks builds that we've never seen work, but they
Mhm.
must work when we're not
Yep.
casting because otherwise, why would you do it all the time?
Yeah, I mean that's how that started, right? Like just constantly casting Cure in TVPs because especially because if you remember early on, more so than now, there's just like ESL Lookup Asia was just so Protoss
Protoss
dominant.
heavy,
Like, there was
yeah.
just so
It
many
wasn't just
Protoss
Zest, it
players.
was also Stats, it was also. Well, I guess Classic was a little bit later on, but we also had Nightmare before he went to the
Mhm.
military. We also had Zaun very
Yeah,
consistently as well for a while.
patience.
Patient, rip Patience. Also gone to the military. Yeah,
Yeah. A lot of Protoss there, a lot of Protoss. Creator, of course, as well, and yeah, just some fun memories when it comes to a lot of these cups. As we mentioned again, like you know, Clem and Max, you know, at the top of the Americas Cup. Same with some of the other Korean players as well. You know, since it's a lot more of a friendly time slot for the Koreans and the DGens from EU would stay up as well. So yeah, just really cool to see this kind of like summary here of the years of EPT. Yeah, it's nice to see all this once again. And really cool to see, you know, this is kind of where Max really thrived as well, right? Because he wouldn't
hmm
compete in these big major events. It'd be the open cups where he'd really kind of make bank.
yeah, 30,000
Mhm.
USD over the years. He started in 2021. I want to say either 2021 or 2022. I don't think he was there quite at the start, but yeah, shows that again. Individually, not a lot to be made, whether it's in EPT points or whether it's in money, but if you play consistently and you win consistently, like Max Fax, like Clem, like Euromarine, you can make quite a bit. It can make quite a difference.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it really can be. I think the final thing that I would touch on as well is this also shows kind of how top heavy some regions are. I
Yeah.
I would say that ESL Asia is a little bit more spread out. You know, you've got
When it
like a
comes to the
nice
Cups
spread.
one.
Yeah. When it comes to tournaments one, when it comes to Europe, it is, you know, it does drop off from
Yeah. It
Showtime quite starkly. Like Showtime, then to Skills, then to Lambo. Like it's a lot more like scarce.
well, I mean, even looking at the top two, like even looking at
Yeah,
the top two, Clem at 75 and Hero Marine at 57.
yeah.
That's quite a discrepancy. Similar with
hmm
Americas, where Max is up at 44, Solar's
Yep.
at 26, and then the next few. Although after that, it does get a little bit closer. Like there's not as big of a
Mhm.
discrepancy, but yeah, it can be very top heavy, particularly in Europe over there.
Yeah. This is also why I was never too. I'm okay saying this. I was always content covering ESL Asia and Americas just because the champions and winners would often be interchangeable and there'd be more
It's a bit
competition.
more of a
When it comes
surprise, yeah.
to yeah, when it came to ESL Europe, less so. I mean, as you can see here, I mean, again, like there aren't too many. There weren't too many competitors here for number one spot. It'd be like Clem or Max or Hugh Marine. Like it would be a little bit more difficult for some of these others to really shine.
Yeah, can be tough. I look at Lambo only winning 3 and Skillless only winning 7, and I'm like, that does not sound right to me. But then you remember that Clem, Hero Marine, Max, and Raynor
Yeah.
are playing in these consistently, and then it's like, oh, that's why.
hmm Yeah, for sure. But yeah, you know that does mark at least the current end of the ESL Open
Wait,
Cups.
I just realized Cyril played in an EPT Open Cup?
Apparently played in one.
Apparently! Okay, played in one, and
Li-
that was it. He
Yeah,
played in
just
one,
one.
and then he was like, well, that's. He was like, well, I'm gonna go do something that is harder now.
So it's all he needed, mate. It's all he needed. You know what surprises me? Hero won one for ESL Asia. Not Hero, but the other Hero. Like his
Right.
name is there as well. I was like, oh, cool. Like,
Gemini Hero, yeah.
yeah.
Oliveira
So
only
Patience
won
won
3
one.
for Patience did win one. True won one before he retired completely.
Mm-hmm. Feels Bang Taesu.
Feels Bang Taesu. Think Oh, there we go. Yeah. I was like, wait, there were a few non-Koreans who won ESL Asia, like Scarlet, and yeah, there's one.
Yeah.
I believe she won the first, or she was the first non-Korean who won ESL Asia, although Oliveira is the one who has won the most, or the non-Korean who has won the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does take that title. So we do recommend checking out the article itself. There's a lot more in-depth details as to like the win rates and the prize money distribution and everything else going on as well. So do recommend it. Shout out to Wax Angel for putting this all together as well. I'm sure it was not easy, as you mentioned. It's been a couple of months since the end
That's
of the
a
season.
lot of
I'm
numbers.
sure it's been, yeah.
I read through the first headline and I'm like, you actually went and tallied all of these? Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so much love to Wax Angel. With that though, that does kind of take us to, this was a retrospective of 4 years of StarCraft. Here we have a retrospective of the past year from Raynor.
Yeah, kind of his own thoughts and kind of him detailing to us what was going on with him throughout 2024. I think there were a lot of speculation over there was a lot of speculation over Raynor. A lot of people kind of mentioning that it's kind of hard to place where he's at, just because he does seem a little bit more inconsistent. So yeah, it's nice to see that Raynor is here, kind of not settling the score. What's the other phrase I'm thinking of here? Like setting the record straight. There we go. And just telling everybody what was going on with him, how he was feeling, and what was going on in those big events as well. How he was playing on the day itself in those tournaments. And so yeah, it's really nice to see it. I can't imagine it was easy for him to come out here and talk about these losses like this. I mean, he even mentioned in the video itself, Dallas really hit him hard. Or was it Dallas? Or yeah, I think Dallas or Atlanta, one of DreamHacks, really hit him hard. So sure, it wasn't easy for him to talk about like this. So, but that's also why we appreciate it more. It's nice to get behind that brain.
Yeah, it was Atlanta. He spoke about the last event of last year to kind of like set the tone, sort of thing. But it's really cool to get these kind of like summation videos every now and then. We already kind of went over, I think, a couple weeks ago, but here Marine made a video like this. I think Lambo made a video like this as well. So it is kind of really nice to hear some of the players' thoughts, just because often we don't get to hear that unless you regularly tune into the players' streams. So yeah, it's really nice to see that he made a video like this. As you mentioned, Raynor, he has been in a really weird place this year, just because we all know how good he is, and clearly he is really good. He's a very strong player. He's one of the best players in the world. Even in most recent months and most recent big tournaments, Raynor has shown that he is, I don't know if I would say like Clem's kryptonite, but he definitely has it in him to take it to Clem, specifically in the ZVT matchup, and that's something that even Several struggles to do.
And that's something that he actually brought up in the video itself when he said, and it is true. Like, I think when most people are saying that Raynor is kind of Clem's kryptonite, he is the one player who can consistently beat Clem. It's meant as a compliment, but I mean, it's kind of hard to take it as a compliment without also, or he's mentioned that it's kind of hard to take it as a compliment because, the only thing he can think of there is like, why is it that I'm only able to take maps off Clem when really I should be able to beat him?
Yeah, I think the other thing that really that weighs on him that he kind of touched on as well is the fact that, hey, he can take it to the best player in the world, but he underperforms in tournaments placement wise, right? Like he was going over his run at IM Katowice, EWC, DreamHack Dallas, DreamHack Atlanta last year as well, and how he isn't very satisfied because I think some of his best placements were like top 8, I want to say, which is crazy to think about, considering like how good of a player he is.
Exactly. That's a placement which is objectively pretty good, especially when you're able to consistently hit the top 8 or the top 12 like that. But for a player like Raynor, who he himself has mentioned that he holds himself to a higher standard because he is a world champion at this point,
Yeah.
that's something that he doesn't find very acceptable.
Yeah. So I definitely can understand those feelings, and it's I'm sure it's really frustrating because he knows that he is one of the best and he knows that he can do better, but sometimes there are other factors coming into play that affects his mental state or his play in general on the day as well. We speak about it all the time, but at the end of the day, when it comes to these big events, it's about how good each player is on the day itself. Like overall they could be amazing, especially in practice as well, but it has to be kind of put to showcase here on play day, and it can be sometimes hard to do.
Yeah. A couple of other highlights that I took from the video. One of them was interesting to see his thoughts behind something that I actually haven't noticed before, but he brought it up specifically in the video, is that Hero somehow always has his number, which is something that I never really pinned down, but now that he's actually spoken about it, now I will. Or now I will keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, Hero and Raynor, they always have such good series. I remember them playing at Stars War 11 at the start of the year, at EWC as well. Like they always have like these banger matches, and he's correct in saying that usually Hero does come out on top there. But like as a fan, as a viewer, like I always love it whenever they duke out. Like it always makes for some amazing series.
Yeah, I have to say for Stars Wars in particular, since I watched that, the games themselves were a lot closer than the score indicates.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%, mate, 100%.
And what's the other highlight? Oh yeah, the other highlight is it's also interesting to hear from a player specifically that they're also kind of in the dark as to what the future of StarCraft 2 esports is going to be now, and what the EPT or what the plans for ESL and for the Esports World Cup are going to be.
Yeah, I can definitely feel for Raynor because he was talking about how it's hard being a player right now just because you don't know what the future holds. You don't know if you have to be looking for another profession at the moment. You don't know if you have to be diversifying your content or trying to do something different. He mentioned how he's going to be streaming League for a while. And that's probably going to continue at least until the next patch. That's something that we haven't talked too much about, but there is another patch in the works that has been teased by Rotterdam, by some other people, kind of in the background as well. So that's kind of on the horizon, and until then, at least Raynor's going to be just calming things down and chilling out, enjoying the off season.
I also feel like it's important to point out he did mention that he's not retiring from StarCraft, and as long as there will be no tournaments, he will be playing in them, because he said that he's already getting questions about it and he's kind of tired of it.
Yeah. Anybody who asks in the future, just watch this video, or will be directed to this video.
Yeah. I remember Hero Marine said the same thing. Like he's like, I'm still gonna compete and still play in SC2 tournaments. I can just taking some time off, taking a break, that sort of thing.
It's like the players are willing, but the tournaments have to exist first,
Yeah, for sure.
I was gonna I will say I'm gonna. It is kind of weird though when you say you want to enjoy your break, but then you play League of Legends. It's like
true.
Is that how? I mean, is that wise?
Like, is that really a healthy kind of outlet? Do we want to encourage that? Not like this. I mean, I would imagine it's a lot less stressful than SE2 in other ways. Yeah, blame the team. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a pro gamer, so. Who knows? Maybe the problem is that if you're a scrub like me, playing a game like League of Legends is only stressful because, I'm bad.
No. The smudge exists at all levels. Don't you worry.
True.
It does. What I'm saying is, it doesn't get better, Yaku. It doesn't. Oh god. So it's really cool to hear those thoughts from Raynor. And again, we do recommend checking out the video yourselves. He does go into more in-depth and more detail as to those tournaments and as to his state of mind, his time in Korea, his time in each event. It is a relatively short video as well, 15 minutes. So I do recommend it's worth your time.
Yeah. put in the background, or yeah, just watch it.
No?
Just watch it and then stop asking him the same questions over and over again.
There you go. There you go. As up next, we have some tournament results here coming in. We have the continuation of the FSL of the Family Star League.
Indeed, we do. And actually, the Liquipedia page got a little bit of an update here. As now, we have a little bit of a profile of the teams themselves.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a profile here of those teams. Do appreciate it. Looks like we did have our this initial round. We had the Angry Space Hares up against the Rage Raiders. They did face off and did barely go the way of the Hares.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, that's true. I was looking at the score, 6-2, and I'm like, oof, that was pretty one-sided. But no, not really. I mean, we still had 2 ties in there, so it was more towards Angry Space Hares. It was definitely much more Angry Space Hares favored, but yeah, it didn't seem like it was an easy win by any means.
Yeah, there you go. So finally, the group is kind of shaping itself up a little bit. I mean, it's still the early weeks, the early rounds of the FSL. Again, for those that are curious, this is organized and hosted and I believe casted by KJ. He is the owner of Psystorm Gaming. This is kind of an initiative that he's been running for many, many years at this point. So do check out the VODs. It's all streamed on YouTube, or the VODs on YouTube as well. Yeah, just some more chill, more laid back StarCraft. These don't incorporate necessarily pro players, but they're passionate players nonetheless.
I also really like the descriptions here for the teams in terms of playstyle. Pull the Boys. Renowned for their adaptability, Pull the Boys can switch between strategies depending on opponent, but excel in creating counter strategies. And it's like, yep, that's what I want from a team named that.
There you go. But yeah, I do appreciate it. Apparently, cheesy nachos are fan favorites. Let's go.
Of course.
Known
for unconventional builds and cheese tactics, which, of course. Rage's Raiders are apparently very aggressive, which, again, of course.
I mean, we have to like take these like summations at their word, but I appreciate that they went to the effort of creating this. It's a fun little like trivia for the teams. It's good.
It's a nice bit of flavor that we're getting here.
For sure. So again, with that, do check out the matches over at on KJ's channel at Psystorm Gaming. Do check them out. They're going to be running this league for the next couple of months, I would imagine, leading into the playoffs as well. So plenty of updates to come. Meanwhile, we do have the Passioncraft Open Season 17. Passioncraft has also been running for many years as well. Season 17 has come around, and we are still going through the qualifiers.
Oh yeah, we are. I did not quite notice that yet. We do have a couple of players who are directly invited, and they're the ones who have been seeded directly into the groups, but yeah, we still have a couple more qualifiers to go through.
Yeah, this week it was qualifying number 2. We did have some more notable players making it through. No money's in.
Hell yeah.
So we got No Money. We have Defi as well. Just pointing out some players that I do recognize, others that I do not. So best of luck to these otherwise more or less notable players. But yeah, coming into this already, No Money is going to be one of my heavy favorites to make a deep run. I'm curious to see how these others compare. Apparently, Sal got invited in. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's always nice to see.
Yeah, okay. So interesting invites. Ryojin got invited as well. Flexi, Nighthead. So I look forward to the eventual group stage. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a long league as well, though, because that's a big group stage.
Oh yeah. Are they all going to be playing it at the same time, or is it more of a case of, oh well, no, they have to play it all at the same time, or at least the group does.
It looks like they're doing like one round. Like each group is doing like.
Is it?
Yeah. It's round robin. But it looks like they're doing the first round at the same time for each group. So Group A does round 1, Group B round 1, Group C round 1. That'll all at the same time. And into like round 2, round 3, etc.
Yeah, That would make more sense. I'm peeking at the at the next few qualifiers. Nice to see Gemini in there. Arev's also signed up. That's neat.
Yeah. we have Gemini, Ares, Gref, Inexorable, Set as well. So best of luck. For those that are curious, there is an MMR cap for the Passion Craft. As we just mentioned, the qualifiers are still ongoing. So if you happen to be within the MMR ranges, if you happen to be below the MMR of I believe 5.5k, then you can compete. You can take part.
I'm eligible.
True, you are. I am too.
Yeah.
So basically, all the pro players are excluded from this tournament, but some of the semi-pros are. As we mentioned, like No Money, like Ryojin, some of these players that are in kind of the middle of the pack in GM can take part in this. So yeah, you can take part as well.
Yeah. It's good fun, but yeah, do keep in mind if you're going to be playing in that, make sure you have stamina and on that day itself, because that's a big group.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a
groups.
big commitment to compete in this tournament. So bear that in mind as well. Good thing to point out. Heading on over, speaking of these more amateur events, we have the Magic Up Masters Cup number 108.
Yeah, that we do. I see a couple of familiar faces coming up here, but I gotta admit, I'm looking at their profile, and I may have been sleeping on this guy for a while. It was won by a Brazilian Zerg player by the name of Manteiga, who I will have to admit I wasn't familiar with previously.
Yeah, Manteiga, papi. Here we go. Yeah, he's also been playing in the Brazilian events Code for Giants Cup. He has also been kind of lurking in the shadows. I would say he's maybe like top 3, top 4 Zerg player in Brazil. So really cool to see him compete in this tournament alongside some of these other regulars. There's one of the other Neos, not to be confused with Neo or Neo Shaggy.
Neither of which are to be confused with Eon.
Yep, which is the other one, true. Or Eon Blue.
Yep.
But yeah, shout out to Manteiga. He does end up taking it in the end. But it's really cool to see some of these. Yeah, a much more dominant performance here out of Manteiga. Oh my god.
Yeah. Cool to see.
So really nice performance. Again, for those that are curious, the Magic Up Masters Cup kind of is a sister tournament to the Masters 1 Open. It is MMR locked just like our own tournament. I believe to around a 4.7 to 4.9k MMR. It's 4.9, yeah. So 4.9k MMR for the Magic Up Masters Cup.
Mm-hmm. Also nice to see Xenodactyl come back in here.
Yeah.
Last I heard he was playing TFT, question mark?
Oh, okay. He's back. Xenodactyl, he's a known cannon rusher for those that are curious. So I'm sure a lot of cannons were thrown down that night.
That's why.
I'm sure TFT is helping with that. So congratulations to Manteiga. Shout out to Xenodactyl for getting second place. Heading on over, we have a team event. This is actually an event that did affect us as well during STC because some of our finalists did actually have to play in this tournament. But it's okay. It's all good. We did accommodate for it as well. And yeah, this was a very, very interesting tournament here. And the favorites that you would expect to go far didn't actually make it too far here, actually. I'm referring to the Korean trio in Beyond. Yeah, in Beyond Maru and Ryan.
Yeah, taken out by the trio of Shameless, GG Machine, and Status, which once again proves Terra needs a buff. As a matter of fact, the other Terra trio, Hero Marine, Battlebee, and Musty, lost to Gerald, Indy, and... Never mind. That goes against my narrative.
Oh no! You're like, what have I said? What have I done? Oh no! It's against my narrative. But yeah, it's really cool. So this is a 3v3 tournament. So even though you have some big names that would dominate in a 1v1 format, in a team events like this, I mean, there are different factors that come into play. Teamwork, team synergy, and unique 3v3 builds are definitely a factor here. So yeah, really exciting to see that.
That's where it has to have fallen down for them, right? Because I could see
teamwork.
Maru and Ryung doing pretty well, but Maru and Byun,
Oh,
come on.
oh no.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
I can see Byun and Ryung working out. I can see Maru and Ryung working out, but oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Incompatible. They're just, pulling each other's like mouses out of their PCs and stuff like that, or just attacking each other's workers at the start of the game. I can see that happening. 100%.
Pinging each other, spraying each other with daring game sprays. Yeah.
True. So yeah, really, really excited to see some of these teams as well, right? We had Lemon, Zan, and Nanami coming together, a trio that I would not have expected.
Yeah, I mean, I would have expected Lemon and Nanami, just because they do play in the Sunrise Cup a lot, so I'm sure they are pretty close, but Zan being picked up as the third. That's, again, not something I would have expected previously, but yeah, it worked out pretty well for them. The Protoss trio ending up as champions.
Yeah, like as you mentioned, like just a really unlikely combination of players, not just to compete in this event, but to bring down Harsum, Lambo, and a laser, to bring down Shameless, GG Machine, and Status, and to win the entire tournament. Yeah, just crazy. I'm curious if maybe they 3v3 in their off time. Maybe I'm sure a lot of these players never 3v3. I'm sure a lot of them don't. So
I'm sure a lot of them started building a wall at a ramp that isn't actually connected to the base.
Yeah, you're coping right now. You're maybe with that extra
that anyone can make.
Sure thing, buddy. Sure thing. Shaking my head. But yeah, maybe with that experience, Lemon, Zan, and Nami were able to come out on top. I do recommend the VODs. Was hosted by Wardy.
Yeah, it's also cool to see a 3v3 format, as again, I feel like that's kind of the odd one out when it comes to team games. 2v2 is very common, and then every now and then you'll see 4v4, but you rarely see 3v3.
Yeah, if you recall, that's something that like Stormgate is trying to capitalize on. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think 3v3 is kind of like the format that they wanted to focus on, is what they stated back in the day. I do think it's a really nice kind of middle ground, as you mentioned, right? Just because you don't have to bring together 5 players like you would like in a MOBA. It's a little bit less than that, but more than like a 2v2.
That's where you're going with it. I thought you were going to say it's a nice middle ground because if people go mass carriers, it won't burn down your PC.
I think it still will. I think
it will, but I mean, there's still a chance there in a 3v3. In 4v4, you can have a $5,000 machine. You can have all the most recent hardware, and it's still gonna burn.
100%. Oh god. So congratulations to Lemon, Zan, and Nanami. Shout out to Skillus, Euthermal, and Goblin for making it to the finals and for going all the way to the ace match as well.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I would have pegged it to be the favorites here. Like, looking specifically at the team games, like Euthermal plays team games quite a bit, and the three of them do seem pretty tight with each other as well. So I would have pegged them as the favorites, and hey, they made it all the way to the ace match in the finals. But yeah, I guess Lemon, Zan, and Nanami knew something that, or had that extra edge. That extra edge being a third Protoss player.
True. Triple Protoss, OP. Imagine all three of them cannon rushing.
5 Protoss in that matchup. Holy hell!
Oh my god!
I'm now realizing that. I don't wanna even imagine that.
This is when we find out that Euthermal didn't play Terran, he actually played random, and there were some games where he rolled Protoss as well.
And it was 6 Protoss. Oof.
Oh no. But regardless, congratulations. With that, we do have, of course, our Stasis Cup as well. Stasis Cup number 2, which was a bit of a more show match. I mean, talking about team games, we just had our 3v3 event. Here we have a 2v2.
Indeed, we do. And like you were saying, it's a little bit more of a show match in the sense that these are new maps. Oh, well. Yeah, these are new maps. I don't think Rohana. I'm trying to remember if Rohana was in a map pool previously, but I don't think it was. I think I'm mixing it up with a different map.
With Ohana?
Yes.
Maybe.
Admittedly, Ohana was a 1v1 map, but admittedly that's what I was thinking.
you might be thinking of because I'm pretty sure we saw Rohana listed in the TLMC for team
Right, that's
games.
what it was.
I do remember seeing Rohana and Yellow Jacket as well.
Jacket is, yep.
So yeah. So I guess it was another opportunity to showcase some of these TLMC finalist maps, which we always do appreciate. And yeah, it's just really cool to see that some of these team game formats are getting some more attention. If you recall the last Stasis Cup, this is organized by Euthermal. The name of the tournament was created because of the amount of stasis traps that were going off.
In the inaugural one, or in the first one that
Yes.
happened, which was, I think, literally just wasn't named anything. It was literally just show match between us and I don't remember who. I think it was Euthermal, and I think Forjumi was on the opposite team. Or no, it wasn't Forjumi. It was. It'll come to me. I want to say Wayne.
It was a 2v2 between Euthermal and Goblin against Skillus and Moja.
That's what it was, not Wayne. Skillus.
Yeah. So if you remember, we were theorizing, maybe they'd like rename it every event, depending on what happened. It looks like they're just gonna be sticking with Stasis Cup, at least from here on forward. But yeah, it looks like this might just be a regular thing. Maybe it's too soon to call, but we'll see if they continue to host these. If Euthermal continues to host these events and host these 2v2s.
Yeah. I do like this rule, though. I do like this mod that was included for this version, where resource trading is disabled. So you can't have a case where it's just one player just expands as much as possible and then sends all the resources to the other player so that they can just max out as quickly as they can.
Yeah, that is a valid strategy in 2v2, but it's maybe not the most exciting one.
Yeah. More so in 3v3 and 4v4, to be fair, but it can happen a lot in 2v2 as well. And like you said, it's a valid strategy, but it can get, from a viewer's perspective anyway, from my own perspective, it can get uninteresting to watch after the first couple of times you see it. Yeah,
and I think what's interesting to me here is that to be fair, I don't know how long this mod has existed. The ability to be able to turn that off, but it's exciting to me because like it feels like, you know, potentially like an amendment to the balance of 2v2 or even team games in general, where now tournament organizers, they have the opportunity to turn it off if they feel like it is if they feel like it's negatively affecting the matches or just viewership, then they have if they want to, they can use this mod, right? They have the opportunity to do that in their tournament.
It is an option for them.
Yeah, it's almost like a little like optional like balance patch in a way, right? Where we just remove like this otherwise available ability here to the players.
Yeah,
which is cool.
It's like the difference between a ladder map and an ESL map. Sometimes.
There you go. Sometimes, yeah. Whether it's more or less balanced, I'm not too certain, as I don't watch enough team games to really know that. But yeah, it's cool that that's now an option.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's necessarily for balance so much as it is just, like you mentioned, for viewership reasons. Like, it gets old. It can get old. I will say one final thing on the Stasis Cup. I will have to say, unfortunately, for Euthermal, he didn't win, so he doesn't get to keep his money this time.
Yeah, this time he doesn't get to keep his money. He does hand it over here to Forjumi and Young Yakov. An interesting pairing as well, might I add. Bearing in mind that Young Yakov recently became teamless, and but they were both at one point on the Platinum Heroes. So it's cool to see that they still have those ties and they're willing to play together. It's always exciting to see, you know, which players are close and which maybe less so. So yeah, cool to see that pairing. Yeah, Streamer Zone. Maybe. would they pick up Young Yakov next? Would he be their Zerg player? I don't. Who knows?
Who knows? We'll find out.
There you go, and that does kind of conclude the initial team game events. Quite an amount of team game events, actually. Meanwhile, when it comes to OSC, it looks like the OSC King of the Hill was actually postponed and moved around, so there wasn't an OSC King of the Hill this week, but I believe it's going to be in a couple of days. So keep an eye out for the next OSC.
His Kuro production. Actually, the OSC King of the Hill is right after PondCast, I believe.
There we
There you
go.
go. There you go. So it was moved over to a different day instead. It moved over to tonight. So we have no updates on the OC King of the Hill outside of it being later on in the evening. I don't know if it's who's going to be covering it, whether it's Wardy, Chicken Man, Steadfast. They do typically trade hands.
All we know is it's not going to be us.
Yes. That is all that we know, so do check it out. It is going to be in a couple of hours. Likewise, so far this week, there was no OC mid-season playoffs broadcast, but similarly, though, it might just be scheduled for like tonight or tomorrow or something like that.
Yeah, it would make sense. But we still have other events that happened.
Yeah, we do have other events. We have the Infolet League number 2. Now, we spoke about this event. We spoke about how last week we spoke about the registrations that were ending in a couple of days. This is a team league tournament, but specifically there was a draft. The teams weren't picked ahead of time. Instead, they were drafted then and there by the team captains. And now we can actually have a look at what the teams are. And hopefully our production here can let us know what the names of these teams are.
All right, I got this.
Okay, before I tell you what the names are, I actually do want you guys to try and read them because I think it's very funny. Go ahead. Good luck.
All right, who's going first? Or are we alternating? I can go.
Okay. We'll alternate.
All right, our first team here, captained by Rodjin, is we have, of course, Armati Trajinio.
Oh, okay. What does it mean?
Gino. It means Armati. That's like that's like an arm. And Mati in Malay means die, so that's dead arm. Dead arm. Chua is like halva, the Hebrew candy. So that's like you. This is the diabetes. This is the team that's warning against diabetes.
Oh no!
This is the team that warns you against diabetes. You eat too much halva, your arm dies.
Oh god. Okay.
Do you want translation
interesting
now
team name
or
here by
later?
Rotin. Later. We have Bajovi Bramkeje, question mark, captained by Snogstar. I'm gonna assume, especially because it's Snogstar's team name, it's like Burrowing Baneling or something like that. Yeah, that's my assumption here for Snogstar.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
The third team that we have coming up here is captained by Jomek, and also the team that Indy is on. It's Kroishki Krabi, and as we all know, Krabby, that's crab, and Kroishki is the name of one of the penguins in Madagascar. So this is Team Penguin Crabs.
Yeah, Penguin Crabs. I think that has to be my favorite team at this point. Has to be.
Yeah.
Has to be. Beautiful. Lastly, we have a team captained by Art, not to be confused with the other Art, but this is the Polish Art. Obronci, Chitu Uwu. That's how it ends. Uwu. There we go.
I know what this team is.
It has to be. We actually heard them earlier today. You could hear it in the background of Yaku's microphone of his apartment. It's the Uwu Birds.
Yeah, the Uwu Tits.
Uwu Birds. There you go. Beautiful.
There we go.
All right, Kura, what do you think they mean?
Okay. Time to actually read this piece. Okay. So the first team is Armati Chwaszczyno.
Okay.
And the name on its own.
Kira, I don't want to tell you how to pronounce your own language, but I think you could do with some Yaku lessons. I think
so
you could do with that.
I don't know what the context of this specific name is, because I'm sure there is one, but the name sounds like a name of a team, like a football team from like a tiny village, because often like it will be like a sponsor and name of the village, and it sounds just like that. So that's probably the joke. Also, armate means cannons, like old-fashioned cannons, like on a battleship.
Okay.
So there you go. The next team is...
It's sponsored by Halva.
They're not sponsored by Halva. The next team is Burzowi Bramkarze, which means Storm Goalkeepers.
Are we all
Goalkeepers.
Are we all soccer teams?
Is that what's happening
I
right
have no
now? Are they
idea.
all...
Look,
going on?
soccer is
football?
extremely popular in Poland, okay?
Okay,
See, there you go. Kashi is saying Faszczyno is a village where Rotten lives. There you go.
There you go.
There
I
we
was
go.
I was about to say, I was curious because you said that was like a little village name or something like
Yeah,
that.
it sounds like
I
a
was curious
village.
if it was like the VTO teams, how they had, oh god, what
Train
were they
to
called?
Busan,
Yeah, there was Train to Busan. There was another one that was
Team
like there was like
Notas.
yeah,
No,
there was
that's
like an
the-
apartment building complex.
Oh,
one,
yeah,
where they
yeah.
were all living in the same
Mm.
apartment, and then they referenced that. So maybe it isn't just Rodden. Maybe he lives with like all these other players.
Yeah, he made a team house there, clearly.
Yeah.
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 It's his homeboys.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. The
Yeah.
next team, the
The Army
third
boys.
team, the third team that you of course got the closest, but not quite. Królewskie Kraby. It means the royal crabs.
The royal crab.
Well, you know what? Penguins are emperors, so
They are emperors.
Also,
Yeah.
the
And
penguin
kings,
from
so.
Madagascar that you're thinking of was called Kowalski. Just saying.
is that what it? Is
Yeah,
that what it says?
that's what
there?
Yaka
No.
said.
No.
Is that
That's
what I
what he said.
It's-
Yeah.
Is
It's
that-
close.
Also, as I
Oh,
thought,
yeah.
the second team is a reference to Stormgate. I was thinking about, but I was trying to translate goalkeepers, and goalkeepers don't sound like Stargate. So.
Yeah.
And the third team is a reference to Battle Aces. There you go. Kashim is giving us updates in the chat.
Oh yeah, because in Battle Aces there's like a crab.
Yeah, there
or
is
something,
King
right?
Crab.
Ah.
I don't know what it is. I've heard crab in Battle
I
Aces.
played like 3 games of Battle Aces and I just went Crab. Can confirm.
Okay.
Well, what do you need?
And then the last team, the last title,
The one that we got correct.
clearly, is Obrońcy Tytułu. And what it means is the defenders of the title.
Okay.
There you go.
So yeah,
Are they the
go-
reigning?
ooh.
Wait, are they the reigning champions? I just because this is Infinite League number 2, right? So
I don't know. You can check.
there's no there's
Well,
no
they wouldn't-
Wikipedia page for
Well,
number
no,
1.
they wouldn't be the they wouldn't be the reigning champions because this is a different team. I mean, the players
True.
might be the same, but
Yeah, just double checking here. So yeah, so the winning team last time, there was also a team called Zero Gate last time. But
is that a team with no Protoss players? I hope that's what it was.
but the winning team, Art was on it. Art was on it alongside Cristiano. It was called the Christian Priveski. Christian and Art, I think is what it was called. There you go.
Yeah,
Ah.
but as
Oh,
Kashim,
yeah, Art-
as Kashim is saying, Art was the champion and captain, so it's basically his team.
Yeah. That's what we mentioned. Like Art, he was the reigning champion.
Yeah, missed out on drafting Cristiano this time, but yeah, what can you do?
Mm. True. No Cristiano this time. But when it comes to the teams themselves, because I just wasn't quite looking here, and when it comes to the notables, what happened in the draft? Hold on. One of these teams is not like the other. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah, because one
Hey.
of them is a crab team.
There's the Snogstar's team. He somehow got Cristiano and Geralt. The
Yeah.
hell? How did
Although
that happen?
Geralt is off racing, so.
I mean, they're both off racing. True. but,
Oh
like,
shit, they
still,
are. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
if you
Yeah,
remember,
if
if you remember,
I
if you
yeah, it come
are
back to me.
above certain MMR, you have to off race.
It's coming back to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously they do have to off race, but like, yeah, it's kind of surprising that they both got picked here by Snogstar. I mean, to be fair, we are not privy to like the skill level of Geralt and Cristiano's off race, so we don't quite know how good they are compared to like Mishu or Angry or Indy or Bappy. Interestingly enough, Bappy doesn't have to off race. That's crazy. Okay, so yeah, these are going to be some interesting teams.
Yeah, and some pretty interesting results that we've already had in the first week. Very, very close. In fact, we even had a tie.
Oh my god. Yeah, very close matches here. We had Snugstar versus Indy taking place. Interestingly enough, were some of these matches not played? There are some matches here that there's no scoreline?
Yeah,
Question
I'm
mark?
not sure what the format is, because it seems like these matches would have had to be played, but at the same time, I mean, if it's best of... yeah, I'm not sure.
Mm. My assumption here would be typically they would play things in order, but maybe that 2v2 on Arctic Dream in the first series, maybe the players weren't available, so they postponed it. They played out the other games instead.
Kashimi is adding in the chat that the rest of the matches will be played on this weekend.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool.
All right.
So it looks like all matches played then. Okay.
All right. Okay. This just looks weird on Wikipedia because it automatically puts the color in there.
Yeah.
Whether or not something is done. So yeah.
Yeah. So technically, we actually don't have our winners.
Okay.
We're still in the middle of the round, and we still have more matches to be played, which is crazy because, as you mentioned, right now we have a tied 3-3 scoreline, and that means it's going to come down to Papi versus Mishu on Triton.
On Triton. It's a bit of an older map at this point. A very old map, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yeah. It is a much older map, so I do recommend checking this out. This is apparently casted by Aristery. Definitely do check it out. I'm also quite, we'll see. I'm also quite tempted to provide English coverage for this because it looks like a lot of fun. It looks very chaotic, though. Very chaotic.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe like a replay cast after the round is over. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe a replay cast. Maybe we get to the playoffs when it's a little bit less chaotic, or at least the schedule is a bit more straightforward there.
I'll make sure to get Yaku on so he can pronounce the team names.
Yeah, I can provide the translations.
Beautiful.
Oh. Don't get diabetes, kids.
So the InfoLets League is taking place. It doesn't look like it's going to be a long league, is what I will say, surprisingly. There's only 3 weeks of the initial kind of group stage and then the playoffs.
I mean, so it's kind of round robin-ish.
Yeah.
And since there are only 4 teams,
So wish them the best with how that takes place. Meanwhile, we do have our Amantes. Amantes de StarCraft number 33 did take place this week. This was more of an invitational. The way this works, every couple of weeks we've been updating you with the Code for Giants Cup. In Code for Giants Cup, players gain points, and then at the end of the month, they compete in Amantes.
Yep. It's kind of like how in the Ursasaurus Cup we had those show matches at the end with the NA players. Well, it's similar concept here with Code for Giants and Amantes. I almost said Infernales, but no, that's a different thing.
There you go. So we have in the end Master winning it all. Some really close matches. He went 2-1 versus Shakti. Initially, he went to the ace match against Inexorable. He went to, they went to game 7 as well against Shakti in the grand finals. So, game 6 even. So in the end, I mean, 5. Master.
Oh well, depending on how you want to count it.
Yeah, it did start with a 1-0 lead. But yeah, really impressive stuff here out of Master, especially because Master has been struggling as of late. We have seen, if you recall, it was a couple of weeks ago where we mentioned how Shakti, even though he's an older player that did retire for quite some time, he was actually having a more dominant performance over Master, and it was kind of like the veteran was kind of taking down kind of the new guard sort of story that we had going on. But Master gets his revenge.
Yeah. In pretty strong fashion as well. I mean, he had a close series against Inexorable. He went to the ace match against Nano/Shakti earlier on, but when we got to the grand finals, when we got to that best of 7 with +1 map advantage, it was not as close.
Yeah, in the end, Master did take both the best of 3 and the grand finals best of 7 as well. So congratulations here to Master. Shout out to Inexorable. Inexorable, he has been improving over time. And even though he didn't defeat Master or Shakti, he did go to the ace match against Master. Master, he did take a map off of Shakti. So it's always been really cool to see the growth of Inexorable. Again, didn't win those series, but did definitely put up a fight.
Yeah. We'll see how the tables turn in the next season.
Oh yeah, definitely. Shout out to Cosmos, of course, for hosting and for casting these events in Portuguese or in Brazilian. Meanwhile, we have some more updates here with the Sunrise Cup 4.
Indeed, we do. We have some updates. We don't have all of them.
We don't.
But we have some of them.
We do. If you remember last time, I think Nanami was already in the finals.
Yep.
I think
it was the round of 12 in the upper half that wasn't played out yet.
Yes, exactly. So we have some updates here. We have a Silky takes down Triple H 3-2. Did go to the ace match, which I'm a little bit surprised by. I rate Silky quite highly. I know that he's been taking a break. So I'm very impressed that Triple H was able to force the ace match there.
Yeah, not something that I would have necessarily expected too hard there. I mean, like you mentioned, Silky has been taking a bit of a break, but he is still somebody who I would rate very, very highly. So yeah, it looks like Triple H really made him work for that victory, and it's not going to get easier by any means here for Silky, as he's now up against the Lancer, also known as
Lancer is going to be the heavy favorite to win the entire tournament. We'll see if, what I will say is that there's quite some names standing in his way. So best of luck to Silky, Young Zest, and Nanami to try to bring Lancer down.
Yes. I just realized if Silky loses this, we're confirmed a PvP finals.
True.
But you know what? At least I won't be casting this time, so.
True. What do you mean? PvP is always a lot of fun.
True.
But best of luck. Best of luck to all those competitors as we will be getting some updates. Again, it's been kind of slow progress when it comes to the updates on this tournament, but we're getting there. We're getting to the end.
Yeah. Slowly but surely. Speaking of the Chinese region and speaking of team leagues, as we were going through earlier on, we have another one of them, specifically in the Chinese region. The Chicken King Team League coming down.
Yeah, okay. We have some results coming in the round robin stage or in the group stage of the Chicken King Team League, trying to find out who is the biggest chicken in the land of China. We do have Toho Project taking down their opponents 4-3. Went to the ace match, actually. We had Little Fairy coming out on top as well. I mean, Little Fairy is one of the stronger teams in the league. We had PCEC taking down PTW as well. Unfortunately, there were some walkovers coming in.
That's a mouthful and a half. PCEC versus PTB. That's a lot of P's.
It is. There's a lot of P's going on there. And we had some of the bigger teams face off. We had Hist up against Starlight Twinkle. And I do think that these are, again, some of the stronger teams in the league. Some bigger, more notable names actually took part in this. We had Young Zest, we had Nanami, we had Xing Ming, Oriana, Kingslayer, TATP, all players that we have casted on this channel. And yeah, went all the way to the ace match.
Indeed it did. SLT came out on top with Young Zest taking the victory over there against Oriana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, coming into this, I almost want to say that maybe Starlight Twinkle is the favorites to win it all, but there's still some strong opponents like Kiss, like Little Fairy as well.
Yeah, I would have to agree, but SLT, it looks like, that round 2 where they didn't really have their players available, so they had to walk over, is hurting. It is still hurting them quite a bit in the standings. I mean, they can make up for that. They can still win big from here on out and make it to the playoffs, but yeah, that's a pretty tough thing, or that is something that they will have to work towards overcoming. Right now, it's actually Little Fairy that's at the top of the standings, which I guess for some people isn't going to be much of a surprise.
Yeah. As you said, like that is a pretty big deal that they had to, drop a series early on, and that is going to impact the overall standings. So best of luck to them. We mentioned before that Starlight Twinkle, again, they did disband their pro roster, but they're more semi-pro, or they're kind of, yeah, the semi-pro roster is still active and still is competing.
Mm-hmm. And they're gonna keep going here in the Chicken King Team League.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, we have the Basilisk Big Brain Bouts number 71 did take place.
Yes.
Of course, a massive list of show matches did occur.
And I remember specifically when they made the announcement tweet, they said, "This is for the science victory." Which, for those of you who may be confused, that is apparently the tagline of Team Basilisk.
Yeah.
For the science victory. Nobody knows what it means. When I first heard that, I thought they were starting a Civ division, a civilization division, but
yeah, I don't know why that's their tagline. I don't know where it comes from or what it means, but a shout out to Basilisk because it is what they go for. And yeah, we did have 4 show matches here. We had J Money versus Ledalex. I'm unfamiliar with the Italian. Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with the Italian Protoss player. J Money has been a very active player in the Open Cup scene. He's an American Zurich player, and he does play in a lot of the Open Cups. So really cool to see him, being able to be showcased here.
Yeah, very active in online cups. But I'm not gonna lie, like when you said J Money, I was like, "Do you mean no money?" No, you did not.
Yo, that's what we need next. True.
The
no money versus J Money. Yeah. Let's go. We did have also an off-race show match, kind of. We had Raynor versus Fiant. Raynor has been on vacation. Raynor's been taking some time off, but he has returned here off-racing as Terran. And I mean, we have seen Raynor defeat Clem in this kind of off-race format before, so it was a bit of a tough one to ask here for Fiant. Fiant, he put in the work, but did go down to Raynor's Terran in the end.
Yeah, Raynor has figured out how to play Terran, so
yeah,
it's unlocked.
Man with gun.
Man with gun. That's all you need.
It's pretty good.
That's all you need. Meanwhile, we also have Nikrakt versus Forjumi, which was very, very close. I think most of us expected it to be close, and yeah, it did not disappoint.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like this should have been the main event. Like, I'm more interested in this series than the other one. I'll be honest. Like Nikrakt and Forjumi.
In this TVP than the other TVP.
Yeah, like Nikrakt and Forjumi, we've been praising them, like for the past month, for the past 2 months, ever since the return of the PondCast. Every single week we talk about these online tournaments, these Open Cups, and we bring up Nikrakt, how well he's doing in these Open Cups. Forjumi as well recently has been doing really well, getting better and better results, and here they face off.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you. I mean, even looking at the result, it looked very, very close, and that is a show match in itself, which, I mean, you can even stretch it up to a best of 7, and I think it will be very exciting and very close. But here's the big issue with this matchup. What does that have to do with a science victory? Doesn't match the theme.
I mean, for science. Yeah. There you go. Are you saying that Terran isn't science?
Obviously not. They got rid of the science vessel in StarCraft 2.
True.
In Brute War and StarCraft 1, I would say Terran had science.
True.
But they got rid of it in StarCraft 2.
It's gone. Aye.
You no longer have science.
There was a lot of Terran victory here tonight, as there was Raynor, there was Nikrakt, and there was Hero Marine as Big Gabe takes down Estrella 3-0. Very impressive showing.
Very impressive and very surprising showing as well. I would have expected this matchup to also go into the ace match, or at the very least not be a 3-0 sweep. So really impressive stuff here from Hero Marine.
Yeah, especially because Estrella has been doing really well as of late. It was only a couple of weeks ago where Estrella defeated Bjorn in Ursa, I think it was in Ursasaurus Cup, or maybe the Stego Monday #1. But like Estrella, he's been getting better and better results here. So for it to be a 3-0 is shocking to me as well.
I think something got ignited in Hero Marine, though, ever since he hosted that German event, and he's been a lot more active, specifically in the German scene. He's been a lot more involved. I think that might have sparked something, like some kind of competitive spirit within him.
Yeah, you might be onto something there. It might be the case that Gabe, he's been working behind the scenes a little bit over the past, during the off season, and he's been itching. He's been itching for that fight, itching for that competitive kind of spirit here, and yeah, very, very impressive 3-0. Damn.
Yeah. Against arguably, well, yeah, arguably, maybe not that arguable nowadays, the best player from North America right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say arguably because if you remember, we've been wanting that show match between Australia and Trigger. Like wanted to be settled here. You know, who's currently the best in the Americas? I want them to face off. True. Yeah. But yeah, check out Roddy's channel for that event, for all these show matches, for the Bass's Big Brain Bouts. Again, it is a weekly show match series, so I'm sure they'll be back next week with another theme, with another science victory. Because that makes sense.
Yeah.
There you go.
The research. Oh, it's because they. Is it though? Potentially.
Okay.
I mean, I know Basilisk. Basilisk, the team, and Basilisk, the company, is involved in like CS stuff, computer science, and stuff. So maybe that's why.
It's fine. It's fine. As up next, we did have the Super Sevens number 14.
Yes, and this is a little bit of an older rivalry, if you'll recall, from way back in 2017 and extended into 2018 and until 2019 when Hero's the one who went to military service. Hero versus Rogue, coming in here for a show match.
Yeah, I mean, this, as you mentioned, this is really old school. I want to watch the VOD. I did miss it. I did miss this, I will say. But it looks like a lot of fun. Did go the way of Hero, and I still don't know how to place Rogue, right? Like, yeah, I agree. Like, Hero, he should be more informed, but at the same time, Rogue, he's been popping off recently, so it's like I don't know how to place him.
I would say that Rogue specifically, his weakness right now is ZVP. Because it seems like he's figured out ZVT. It seems like he's very competitive in ZVZ as well. But put him against a Protoss player, a top level Protoss player like Hero or like MaxPax, and he will struggle a little bit.
Yeah, it was last week in the Liu Cup where we saw that Rogue did struggle against MaxPax in the longer and shorter form series, and now we can see him here falling to Hero as well. So clearly showing that this might be a matchup that he has to work on. And I like the way that you phrased it. You're like, yeah, he's figured out ZVT. He's at least figured out his way of ZVT. And but like, it's so exciting, and it's something that we didn't even get to talk about. We probably should have added that to some of the topic list earlier. But there has been so much.
Well, I don't know if it's a new meta, but
yeah, I wouldn't say new meta, but like, there's been so much analysis on Rogue recently. I think all the big YouTubers like Pig and Lambo and all these others, they've all been going over those matches, and they've all been like they've all been speculating on Rogue.
Yeah, whether it's Rogue versus Bjorn, Rogue versus Oliveira, or Rogue versus Clem, it's a very specific ZVT style that you don't see at all nowadays from anyone else.
Yeah, it's just very innovative, right? And because it's so fresh, because it's so new, I mean, we'll see if other players emulate it. I think that's the most important thing to me, is if anyone else tries to pick it up and play like Rogue, right? Like, I don't know if like Serral is really one to do that. I don't think Serral is one to embrace that more like chaotic style. But maybe but I look to Raynor, right? I look to Raynor, I look to Shin. I'm curious if those two decide to try this as well.
I want to see Shin perfect that build, is what I have to say. I want to see Shin refine it down and perfect it. Rogue came up with it, and Shin's going to perfect it, and then Raynor's going to take it to the next level, is how I view it.
There you go. But that's what I'm most curious about. Like, for the next big event when it comes around, like, I'm going to be looking at these other Zerg players, at their ZVT, to see who does try to like be like Rogue, or even take it to the next level, as you said, or if it's, you know, a build that comes by and then it's kind of like fallen by the wayside eventually. Like, Terran players get better at defending against it, and they get better at turtling and dealing with the mass overseer style.
Yeah, that is something that could happen. I'm hoping it doesn't, though, because in order to just trigger Zerg nerfs. It's gonna be useful for me.
Something must be done about the overseer. It's cracked. It's crazy. It's too good. Oh my god. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I mean, I'm sure we'll see. I'm sure we'll see something come out of it. I think Hero Marine, or no, not Hero Marine, Thermal was kind of speculating a little bit and theorizing what some potential counters to the Rogue style can be. So yeah, I'm sure the Terran Fate players will figure it out as well. But yeah, I wouldn't mind a couple of nerfs to Zerg personally, or buffs to Terran.
What are you saying right now? But yeah. So I'm sure this was a really good series. I do recommend checking it out, and just really excited to have Rogue back. You know, he hasn't been back for too long, and we'll see kind of how that all takes place, and how he approaches this matchup as well in the future.
Yeah. I think Rogue has really, in these past couple of weeks, really exemplified what he excels at, which is to be creative, more creative than the other Zerg players, and just figure out what works and what is kind of broken to an extent, or at least what looks broken on the outset, because that's what he excelled at prior to the military, and that's what is allowing him to maintain his competitive edge now that he has returned.
Yeah, like there are certain key players that kind of do this, right? You have Rogue, who just recently has explored this kind of area. We had Hero. Remember when he came back from the military, he completely changed the dynamic of PvZ completely, actually, when he came back. So like there's Hero, there's Bjorn with 2x Reaper. When he started doing that last year, I mean, everyone like followed suit, and it's still it's like 2x Reaper is the 2x Reaper is still very much an opener done by Clem and done by Hero Marine and every other Terran player out there. And so sometimes it just takes, that kind of like pioneer player to like explore this otherwise, unexplored area of StarCraft and kind of change things.
Yeah. It's also really interesting to see the dynamics of how it comes out, right? Where you'll have the pioneering player who comes up with the build, but then you'll have the refining player who will take that build and then just kind of perfect it. I feel like in a lot of ways that used to be Zest back in the day, where he may not have been the one who came up with the Glaive Adept and the DT build, but he was the one who perfected it. He was the one who really made it unbeatable, borderline broken.
I see. I thought you were gonna end it. You were gonna cap it off with saying, you've got the player that refines it, and then you've got the player that comes in, like the scavenger, who once it's refined, then they take it and then they start using it themselves. Thank you so much for like perfecting this build for me. It's beautiful.
I mean, why would I out myself like that as the scavenger? Why would I out myself after Coffee has comes up and refines the build? I'm the one who scavenges it.
I feel like that was very well chronicled for Bjorn for his, because if you remember, Bjorn wasn't the originator, it was Special, right? Special, he started the 2x Reaper, then Bjorn and Maru took it, then Bjorn he refined it over months, and then once it was refined, then everyone else came and took it for themselves. And
scavengers to me,
thank you for your hard work, Bjorn.
I feel like Another thing is, I feel like, speaking about the pioneering player and the refining player, I feel like Rogue and Shin are right now on opposite ends of what it used to be. I would say that in a few years in the past, I would have said that Shin was the pioneer and Rogue was the refiner. But now, maybe it's going to be the other way around.
Yeah, it's very possible with this one. It's very possible. As long as Shin puts down his dynasty build and starts looking at builds that
actually work.
True. God damn it. Aye. We'll see what happens with Shin. I want to believe. Regardless, do check this out. Again, for those that are curious, this event is hosted not on Twitch, but the Super 7s are hosted on Soup on a very different platform, a Korean platform.
Yeah, it's the one that used to be Afrika, if you'll remember correctly.
Yes.
Related to Naver, but not on Naver. I think Naver has their own streaming platform now.
Naver is a separate thing. Yes.
Naver, they've got Chist. I remember Bomyoja, he explained to me how to pronounce it, but it's like it's Korean slang, which doesn't help when it comes to foreigners. Yeah, it's like Chichik or something like that.
Chichik?
But it's Korean. It's a Korean slang word sort of thing. So it doesn't help foreigners trying to play. Oh god, he told me. I have to check the VODs.
Is it just the sound of like TV static?
Oh,
Wasn't
okay.
that what it was?
Kind of. I think there was something else.
Because I was gonna say we have a similar sounding slang word here called chichak, and it means lizard. So
They I don't know if it's a lizard, but sure.
No.
But with that, then we have the next round of kind of topics here. We have the StarCraft Evolution League number 4. It did take place not too long ago. Again, as a reminder, this is not StarCraft 2 essentially. This is not quite StarCraft 2, but this is something a little bit different. This is a mod that blends together Brood War and SC2.
Indeed it is. And even before we go into some of these games, and even before we go into the result, very nice to see STC back here.
Yeah.
If at least as a commentator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the STC, much more of an old school Terran player from back in the day.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was very surprised to see him in game. Like at the time, we were getting the bracket was being generated. We were all getting in game. I saw the STC in the lobby, and I was like, "Yo, is he back? Is he gonna play? Like, what's going on? Let's go!" And little did I know that he was actually going to be casting instead. So the STC this week stepping in place of Kiwian or Top as the Korean.
Who was the other old school Terran player who casting Korea now?
True. So really cool to see that he's brought out of retirement, not quite to compete, but at least is taking part in StarCraft in some way.
Still kind of keeping his ear on the ground and his eye on some of these developments. I feel like something like SC Evo is also where we would expect some of these players who were playing a bit in Brood War, but then also switched over to StarCraft 2 pretty early on in StarCraft 2's lifespan. So I feel like they would have a little bit of a little bit more background there, and maybe able to provide a little bit more finer details and things like that.
Yeah, and when it comes to this tournament, I was really excited because this was actually the debut of Classic in SC Evo. I think he might have played in the Korean Invitational that was a couple of months ago at this point. A lot of Koreans did compete in that. I think Dark even played in that as well. But when it comes to SC Evo, Classic hasn't played in these before, and he is kind of a big name, right, in SC2. He's one of the best Protoss players in Korea, so I was really curious to see if he was experienced in any way in this mod.
Indeed. And now the only question I have for you right now, Light, before getting into anything else, did Classic also play Protoss when he played Brood War? Or when he was played Brood War? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Protoss all around. The other exciting thing about this... Oh, go on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to mention, because if you recall, Classic was another one of those up-and-coming Brood War pros who switched to StarCraft 2 with Heart of Swarm, but something to keep interesting to note is that Classic actually played Terran in Brood War, and also played Terran in his debut season of Pro League before realizing that Protoss actually fits his style way better in StarCraft 2. So I was curious to see if this was going to be, if this was something that he was, I don't know, if we would have seen Brood War Terran Classic in SC2 Evo.
That would have been really cool, but alas, Classic did stick with Protoss throughout the course of his tournament run, and he was actually looking really good. He was actually looking really impressive in the mirror matchup PvP against Homono especially. I think Homono was a big test for him because, you know this, Homono is he's an animal, he's very aggressive, he's got a lot of all-ins, and Classic was pulling off some really impressive defense even with the Brood War Protoss. Really cool.
Yeah, so I guess it should come as no surprise that he ended up winning the whole thing.
Yeah. So he did come off quite well versed. Also, it's not just his debut, but of course, his first time winning this event. Usually we have 3-Point and Shin as the champions, but neither 3-Point or Shin were actually here this week, so there was no kind of like defending champion trying to hold on to their title. It was going to be a new champion regardless. Likewise, I believe this is the best result of Rebellion getting second place as well. So yeah, really, really nice results.
Yeah, nice to see some newer faces coming in here. And hopefully we'll see a lot more of them. I mean, we have our we have our regulars, which comes as no surprise. People like Quanta and Hamono, but it would be nice to see more players who aren't too familiar with the Evo mod dipping their toes in the water. I want to see.
For sure.
I need a rematch of Team Texas versus Team World. Is what I'm saying from from DreamHack Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I need Clem, Creator, and Rainer, I think, was Team Texas going up against Scarlet, Harstem, and Kellizer, I think.
I think Kellizer was there. Yeah. I mean, that'd be ideal if we can get them involved. Very quickly, something that I wanted to point out. A highlight of this tournament, I recommend the finals. It was crazy. Monty Hall. I don't remember if you're familiar with Monty Hall. Yeah,
no,
Paradox
this is newish.
Yeah, Paradox is the island map. Monty Hall, I did bring this up last time, but Monty Hall is a bit of a newer map. I think it debuted last week.
Oh, I remember this now.
Yes, it's the map where you have these 3 bases branching out from your main, but they are walled off by mineral patches.
Yes. So essentially, you have to choose where you want to expand at the start, and you have to pretty much commit to it at that point.
Yeah.
Like even if you play Terran and you want to lift up your CC, you're still gonna have to mine out that wall to rally your units.
Yes, and what was crazy in this PvP in this game was Rebellion went for a cheese. He went for a proxy. He went proxy 3 gates at one of the base expansions.
StarCraft 2.
He was playing, I think it was Brood War. I can't quite recall.
Okay.
Maybe it was SC2. No, it was brutal. So when proxy 3 gate across the map at the center base location, and Classic was expanding towards the top side instead, so he didn't scout it initially. The proxy was getting up and running, and the goal, of course, was to initially proxy Zealot, then followed by proxy Dragoons to reinforce, to go for the all-in to push into the main. And he had probes, and he had taken the gas geyser that's right there next to the mineral wall to mine through the minerals and mine through the gas, right, to infinitely break in.
Yeah,
but as
you don't
he
have to go
as
all
he
the way back home,
yes, as he was throwing down the gas guys, as he was setting that up, Classic scouted that he was proxying, and to counter it, Classic pulled 1 probe, and what he did was he fought and he forced he was mining the same patch that Rebellion was mining, and he did not allow Rebellion to mine the patch. He did not allow Rebellion. He was desperately trying to mine a patch. He would select a different patch, and Classic would chase him, mine the same patch, and would not allow him to mine a single thing. And Rebellion, he was just stuck outside. He was just stuck outside with all these zelts, all these years. He could not get into the main base of Classic. It was crazy. Oh my god.
I mean, that's just at that point. What do you do? That would be, if I were in Rebellion's shoes at that point, I would just uninstall immediately. I'd be like, well, I had such a good plan coming in, and then I just had to be countered by somebody who had that much attention to the micro and that much attention to the mining. And it's like, I would have been so defeated at that point, and I mean, Rebellion lost that game, so I guess he did get defeated. But oh man, I need to watch a lot of this now. When you put it that way, this is why Protoss needs mules.
True. For those that are curious what we're referring to, in SE2, when a worker mines a mineral patch, it can only be mined by 1 worker at a time. So if you send another, this is why you have the worker kind of like battle at the start of like a ZVP, for example, with the probe just forcing inefficient mining.
PvC,
Exactly. Where you can send out your own worker, mine the patch as well, and try and deny mining, and that's what was happening there. Where Classic was denying the mining from Rebellion, so he could not break through the wall. It's crazy.
It's not something that's highly recommended, even to people who are high ranked, to do that, because it can, in some cases, it can really make or break your opponent's build. But most of the time, you're better off just focusing on your own macro back home. But in a case like this, on a map like Monty Hall, that's gonna determine whether you win or lose.
Yep. Oh my god. So I was just so impressed because I've never seen that kind of defense before, and it was just really it was just like on the fly, right? Classic to see that, to
Very
respond,
reactive,
to pull a worker. Exactly. Like it was such a quick decision
thinking,
for
yes.
Classic. Yes, quick thinking for him to go for that.
That
It was just so cool to see.
I mean, there's a reason why he has that massive chin. It's because it's
Yeah.
an extension of his brain.
It is. The brain just protruding from his lower half, and it's it was just a really impressive performance at a Classic. Did win in the end, congratulations. And I hope to see more of Classic. I hope maybe next time we can see Classic versus Shin or 3-Point. Shin and 3-Point, they are the typical champions of this tournament, so I'd love to see him up against some of those top Zerg players. But we'll see what happens next time.
Yeah, we shall see. Hi, Rebellion in the chat.
Oh no! Shout out to Rebellion, of course, for coming second place in this tournament. We got a lot of love for Rebellion, and we hope to see more of you as well in the upcoming events. Actually, something that we didn't add to the topic list, but I believe is most likely in the sign-up list or maybe elsewhere. But it was recently announced that there was going to be a StarCraft Evolution, not just tournament, but like an invitational league, or I think there might be, sorry, there are qualifiers. There are qualifiers to the event, but there's a big StarCraft Evolution league that is in the works.
Yes, and we can also see it on Wikipedia here for this StarCraft Evolution League. You can see the points that are going to be distributed to the players. So, yeah, that's going to be going into that idea and into the longer form league. The invitees, I believe, are going to be based on that.
Yeah. Exactly. But otherwise, we do have our next event. We do have the Home Story Cup qualifier as we do head on over. And we have the conclusion of the second qualifier.
That we do, and honestly, a little bit of a dark horse victory here. Coming out for Nightmare, who beats Gumiho twice in this bracket, and yeah, is going to be securing that travel and accommodation over to Home Story Cup.
Yeah, here we go. So Nightmare, I mean, a little bit more of a dark horse in this qualifier. I mean, Nightmare is a very strong player, don't get us wrong, but I do think we'd usually favor Gumiho over him. But no, Nightmare, he popped off. He broke Gumiho down twice, as you mentioned. Crazy.
Yeah, very nicely done here, and yeah, pretty good showing overall for Team Streamer Zone as well. A lot of them signed up, and actually, yeah, all of them signed up. Funnily enough, and you know, Nightmare was the one who qualified. Gerald as well had a very close third place match here against Gumiho. Unfortunately, yeah, no prizes for third place in the qualifiers, but even so, it's a respectable showing, I would say.
Yeah, we spoke about this earlier, right? It's like for Geralt to bring down DNS, sort of, Fiant, take a map off of Gumiho. I do hope that the organizers of Home Story Cup do take that into consideration and do, potentially hand out some invites to some of the top performing players in these qualifiers, as they are deserving to take part. So we'll see what happens with that. But regardless, it is really cool to see that Nightmare of all players is confirmed for the main event.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's actually gone to a
Story Cup before, yeah.
Yeah, true. I don't think he's ever gone, because usually their invites are like higher profile Koreans, right? Usually they're some of the bigger names, like your Solars or your Björns or your Gumihos, for example.
It's either the higher profile Koreans or the Koreans who are like really whatchamacallit. How would we describe Creator? Because Creator's been to quite a few Home Story Cups, Creator and Bunny, who I wouldn't necessarily say that they're high profile, but I mean, they're people who are always, it always seems like people want them in Home Story Cup.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, especially because they have, I think. Yeah, they're more social, right? They have slightly better English as well, right? So that they can kind of like interact with everyone else. So you're right in saying that they're usually, the ones that are brought in instead. So yeah, this is going to be a really, really nice moment for Nightmare, traveling to Home Story Cup for the first time, competing in it for the first time, and potentially having a really good showing there as well. Yeah,
we'll see how it goes. At the very least, it'll be nice to see Nightmare on the casting couch.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That is another requirement for every player who plays in Home Story Cup. You have to cast at least once.
And also, speaking of like invites as well, very quickly, Take TV, they better invite Gumiho, because he's the he's the reigning champion. He's literally the reigning champion of Home Story Cup, and he came second place in this qualifier. Like, come on.
Twice. In two different qualifiers, he came in second place.
True. Yeah,
And also,
twice.
twice. And also, I'm now noticing Gumiho's still on Cloud 9, so,
Yeah.
Virtus Pro and Navi.
So, hope. I mean, yeah. As you pointed out, I didn't even notice, but yeah, because Gumiho also came second place in the previous qualifier, like he is deserving to be at Home Story Cup. Hopefully he is. For those that are curious, the invitees of Home Story Cup have not been announced yet. Usually they do focus on Europeans because it is, a little bit cheaper to invite, players from Europe and stuff like that.
It's
But
less of a hassle, really.
it,
Less of
it
a visa
is. It
process
is.
as well.
True. But Gumiho would be deserving. It would be a shame if he doesn't go. We'll see what happens. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's always the case that Gumiho gets invited and then also doesn't go. But no, I think he is very willing, just based on the fact that he played in both qualifiers. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
See how it goes.
As up next, we have the beginning of all of our Open Cups. Okay, so the first of the Open Cups this week was Sparkling Tuna Cup number 68. Of course, our own event did take place on a Sunday, and we spoke about it, but this event did coincide with the Wardy TV 3v3, so the finals was actually postponed to the following day. We had to wait until the 3v3 did conclude, and then we held the finals.
Yes. Shameless, who was in there, and actually, yeah, Geralt was playing in it as well. So, yeah, I had to wait a little while there. Speaking of which, Geralt ended up winning, which doesn't come as much of a surprise, I think, to most people. Yeah, but it's always nice to see Shameless having a strong showing as well.
Yeah, Shameless, he did perform very well, very nicely. He went all the way to the ace match against Nikic. Honestly, that PvZ was quite close between Shameless and Nikic, but Shameless did take it in the end. The PvP was quite close as well. Fun fact, as Geralt and Shameless were competing in the finals, they were bantering a little bit, and Geralt was actually praising Shameless because Shameless's team was the one that defeated Beyond, Maru, and Ryung. So Geralt was like, how was the series against the Korean Terrans? And Shameless, he was like, easy.
Easy.
It's like, mate, we clowned on him. True.
Geralt's like, all right, you've beaten 3 Terran players, but now I'm Protoss.
So they were having some fun, definitely, and I mean, congratulations to Geralt, as you mentioned. It is a bit of a shame. I don't know if you can see, Iba did defeat Homono 2-0, and there could have potentially been like an Iba Geralt match, but Iba was also playing in the Wardy TV 3v3 event. So Iba did forfeit because it was playing in that tournament as well.
Yeah. Unfortunate there. I mean, I got to see Homono a little bit more, and did have a close series against Geralt, which is always nice to see. It's always nice to see that when the player proceeds, who maybe wasn't initially meant to proceed, they do show that they are worthy of that, and it wasn't just it wasn't just pure luck or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. So again, it was a nice performance there out of Geralt. Again, some of the other more regular players to take this event in the case of like Nightmare or Christiana or Beyond and Shin or Trap, they were not here. So Geralt,
the big missing link here. Yeah,
he is. Yeah, so Christiana, he was elsewhere. Geralt did clean house in his stead. Is going to be our champion. He's going to be our tuna for the week. Meanwhile, the following day we did have the Wardy TV Monday number 6.
Indeed, we did, and I mean, I feel like we were just talking earlier about how Max and Clem. Max. I almost said Max and Clem packs. Clem and Max packs are the 2 winningest players in ESL Open Cup, and they've shown it again here in Wardy TV Monday. Now, both of them make it to the finals, and I think we mentioned last week how it looked like we were getting the rivalry back on track, where for a while it looked like Clem was dominating Max Packs, but Max Packs was starting to fight back last week, taking a couple of high-profile series against Clem, but this week it was not the case. It was a 3-0 in favor of Clem.
And the games themselves were not too close. I mean, there was some intense moments, very intense moments, definitely. But Clem looked like the Clem that we've grown to be accustomed to, is what I will say. It's almost like, he was maybe a little bit frustrated about the matchup, and he vent those frustrations on MaxPax here in this 3-0. It was crazy.
Was he frustrated about this matchup, or was he frustrated about his match against Rogue? Because I saw some of the cam footage, and I'm like, yeah. I've been there, Clem. I feel ya.
It's possible. It's possible. So you laid waste upon all these players. I mean, Trap was the only one to take a map, so impressive performance out of Trap. It did occur earlier in the bracket, but he's the only one to slip Clem up. Otherwise, MaxPax had a good run as well, don't get me wrong. Did go to the ace match against Hero. MaxPax and Hero, they had a really, really dynamic game one, but then did go the way of MaxPax.
Yeah, I mean, MaxPax went on a tear, right? But it was only in PvP, so yeah, unfortunately, we wasn't able to showcase his other matchups as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I would go as far as
he went up against Clem. So.
Yeah, I think I would go as far as to say that MaxPax has the best PvP in the world. It's what he's known for. It's a more unique style that he embraces compared to everyone else, with a more greedy style. And yeah, MaxPax able to flourish in that kind of setting, but did fall to Clem. But I mean, as you pointed out, right, it was only last week where he was able to beat Clem in Liu Cup. So that back and forth, I'm hoping will continue. Maybe in a 3-0 this time, but then we can get a 3-0 in the other direction at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Ooh.
Didn't quite get to see it in the Kalaris Steadfast Roddy Cup, though, the KFC.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in here as, unfortunately, MaxPax wasn't able to make it to the finals this time. It was Clem versus Bjorn. Bjorn venting his TVP frustrations once again out on MaxPax.
Yeah, impressive. Bjorn with the 2-0. I mean, we've pointed this out before, but over the past couple of months, we've seen players like Bjorn, players like Shin as well, to kind of slip up and upset MaxPax. And I would say that this is an upset. I think traditionally, MaxPax would be favored over Bjorn. But this is a very impressive performance, considering as well that this is at a much more EU-friendly time zone. Bjorn went full degen to play in this tournament.
Well, I feel like you say that, but I think the recent results have shown that the more degen you are, the more you win.
True.
I mean, Clem is living proof of that.
I am. Yeah, true. Is it a Bjorn thing? Is it a Clem thing? Is it a Terran thing? Maybe.
Maybe. I've never seen a high level Terran player with a good sleep schedule, is what I'll say. With a normal sleep schedule.
So congratulations to Clem. Clem, he did drop a map to Bjorn. He actually dropped a map to Defi at the start in the Renner 32. That is crazy to me. I mean, Clem is known. I mean, his quote unquote weakest matchup is TBT, true, but at the same time, it's still very, very good, and we don't often see upsets here. So yeah, I would be very fascinated to learn as to what the hell happened in that series. That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see if we can get our hands on a VOD or something of that.
Yeah, hopefully someone was casting it. Hopefully someone was covering that series. But yeah, shout out to Bjorn for having a deep run here, for MaxPax likewise dominating in PvP. Once again, MaxPax, he PvPs his way into the semifinals where Bjorn kind of is the one to deny him. But yeah, GG. Clem wins another.
Yeah, farming the weeklies once again.
Yeah, exactly. You've got all these players taking some time off, like Cyril and Raynor, and they're all taking a break. Clem, nah, he's back on that grind.
Yeah. What else he gonna do?
True. Was he gonna play League? No.
Yeah. Everything's closed by the time he wakes up, so.
True. That's how you do it. See, he's on that degen sleep schedule not because it's a degen, but so he can focus on StarCraft, so he can kind of take everything else away.
No distractions. The uwu birds are asleep.
Mm-hmm. There you go. As the following morning, we did have the Stego Monday Cup. Now, Bjorn did pull an all-nighter, as he usually does. So he stayed up, he played in the Wardy event, then into the KSRS, then into the Stego Monday Cup.
That he did. Unlike his opponent, who actually slept the night before, had a little bit of a rest and was able to defeat him 3-0 in the grand finals. Shin takes the W.
He does. And what I will say is that this was a fast series as well. This 3-0, like Shin went full Shin. You can see the maps, Dynasty game 1, Post-Youth game 2. If I remember correctly, on Dynasty, Shin, he rushed into the goal base, of course. He went into Roach Play from there. Post-Youth, he also... Fun fact, on Post-Youth, Shin didn't even take his in-base natural. He took the gold as his natural. Like, he was an animal. Oh my god. And he got away with it.
I feel like you can just say, or you were going to say, you can see in the maps here, Dynasty. And then you're just going to leave it at that. Like, we all
Shin
know
is an animal.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, thankfully, this wasn't a ZVP, so he wasn't tempted to spine rush. So that didn't occur. But yeah, just a really aggressive series from Shin, and Beyond actually had a hard time keeping up. You could definitely argue that maybe Beyond was definitely getting fatigued because he did pull an all-nighter, but at the same time, he's also used to the all-nighters, so I don't know how much we can really rely on that kind of narrative. No.
Yeah.
But GG.
GG. Nicely done.
Yeah. Yeah, really impressive performance there out of Shin. I mean, Shin was suspiciously he was absent from the other events, right? Like Shin, he wasn't there for the Sparkling Tuna Cup, and I don't think Shin was there for the Wardy TV Monday either. So, yeah, he was otherwise, off climbing a mountain or something, as he, he heard about like the mountain climb the creator and Beyond went for, and he wanted to take part as well.
Yeah, and it helped.
There you go.
Math.
Sometimes you just have to climb a mountain,
Sometimes you have to climb a literal mountain to climb your metaphorical ones.
There you go. So congratulations to Shin as he takes down Beyond, takes another weekly himself. Very quickly though, I did want to touch on shout out to Pig, because Pig did actually defeat Dolan 2-1. It was actually a very close series, and what I will say is that Dolan was overly aggressive at times, and was punished for that at times as well. So really impressive stuff there out of Pig. I was not expecting Pig to take that series, so very well done.
Yeah, tends to happen. It does happen every now and then. So yeah, nicely done here from Pig. Bring in the Stray in representation.
There you go. There you go. And then we ended off with the Wardy TV October Cup, and which, if you recall, we were going over some predictions last time.
We were, and before we go into the actual results of the predictions, firstly I want to say, we didn't have confirmation of the fourth player of Group D. We were speculating. Is it going to be Estrella? Is it going to be Trigger? Is it going to be Ryung? We were all wrong. It was Gumiho.
God damn it. But yes, it was Gumiho instead. We were leaning towards like an American Protoss. Yeah.
Or Wayne or someone. Nope.
Yeah. Out of left field, Gumiho comes out instead. So that will disrupt predictions for at least that group, at least a little bit. But we do start off with Group C.
Yes, and I actually do remember I remember I had 3 predictions for Group C last week. My head was saying, Cure and Shin. My heart was saying Oliveira and Hero, but my gut ended up being correct. So it was Oliveira and Shin.
There you go. Shin and Oliveira. I think I remember also betting on Shin, if I remember correctly, because like I didn't want to, but because of recent results,
you didn't want to.
I didn't want to, but because of recent performances,
Dynasty,
I was like,
too much of a Dynasty really hurt you badly.
It did. And we were very like shaky on Hero just because Hero only recently came back, if you remember, right? Like Hero, he took a bit of a vacation, so Hero, he was still shaking the rust off, and he's not looking like the Hero that we're used to. He's not at 100% currently, or at least it felt that way last week. In the end, Hero didn't make it through. We were very much so on the fence about Cure. Cure didn't make it through either, and in the end, it was Oliveira and Shin.
When you were saying you didn't want to bet on Shin, I think for me it was I didn't want to bet on Cure.
Fair.
And honestly, I'm a little surprised at the result here from Cure losing, not taking a single series. Especially
Yeah,
just based on the previous result. I mean, it looked like Cure was coming back in. I mean, he had a really, really strong showing in the previous Wardy Festival that was only
yeah.
played about a week prior to this. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, this was kind of weird to see. I mean,
Yeah, I would definitely agree here that Cure underperformed. Cure, we expect him to. I mean, he is one of the best Terrans in the world, and for him to not take a map, that's the important thing here. It isn't just that he didn't take a series. He didn't take a single map against Oliveira, against Shin, and against Hero. They are strong players. Don't get us wrong, but we expect Cure to be competitive against them. So, I mean, to be fair, we didn't see. Oh, at least I didn't get to catch the game, so maybe they were closer than they otherwise seem. But yeah, that is very surprising.
yeah. And then we get into Group D where, yeah, I think we did predict that Clem would make it out on top, but I mean, that's hardly that's hardly a risky bet to make. It was who came in second that we were a bit more on the fence of, that we weren't really sure who would make it out on top. I think I was going under the assumption that if it was Estrella, then neither Solar or Trap would make it through. Whereas if it was somebody like Trigger or Ryung or Young Yakov or Wayne, then it would be a little bit more up in the air. And yeah, I guess so. That was, as we can see here, Gumiho came in and it was up in the air, and he did take that second spot.
Yeah, I mean, it was really close. You could see that Gumiho, Solar, and Trap all had the same series score. It came down to map score and head-to-head. Map score was even between Gumiho and Solar, but in that series, Gumiho did defeat Solar, so in the head-to-head, Gumiho comes out on top, and Gumiho barely edges out that second place. And that was close, especially considering, if you look at the score lines here, Solar was the only one to take a map off of Clem. The only one.
Yeah, impressive stuff here from Solar, and part of me wants to rate that higher than Gumiho, actually beating Solar here. But yeah, I mean, that's just how the math works out, right? It's just I can't put my own subjective rating on this when we actually do have concrete, and when we actually do have something concrete that we can use.
Yeah. So
concrete and objective that we can use. Yeah.
I mean, I would almost say that maybe this was even the group of death now that Gumiho had joined in. Like, this was very close. And I mean, as I mentioned, like, Clem was going to be coming out regardless of who else was in here, but it was a real fight for second place.
Oh, yeah. And Gumiho just barely eked it out. The player who we weren't, at least here on the podcast, I wasn't expecting Gumiho to be invited. Light wasn't, and I don't know, maybe Kura was, but I doubt she was as well.
Yeah, so congratulations to Clem and Gumiho. We kind of glossed over it, but there was actually a similar scenario in Group C where Cure struggled, but Hero, Shin, and Oliveira, they also had an even series score, 2-1, all three of them.
Oh, true.
Crazy.
Yeah, they took games and series against each other. It's just Cure, unfortunately, wasn't quite able to come ahead.
Yeah, so very close between Oliveira, Shin, and Hero. In the end, it come down to the overall map score, and Oliveira and Shin were able to come out on top there.
Hero actually has a positive map score here and beat Shin in the head-to-head. It's just that Shin has 2-0'd Cure and also took a map off of Oliveira, so it's a lot, sort of ended up being closer. Or he ended up taking the edge. There's a very real world out there where Hero 2-0's Shin, and it's Hero that advances instead. Yeah,
definitely. Like that it came down to one map. It did come down to one map there. So in the end, Shin did take it, but it was very close. And wish everyone the best of luck, as now we have our playoff bracket seeded.
Indeed, and here's something that's unfortunate, Light. We do have the rematch, right? Here's something that's unfortunate, Light. Clem and MaxPax will not be able to face in these grand finals. However, we kick things off with a rematch between Clem and Rogue in our quarterfinals.
I mean, there's a lot of rematches here, right? Because it's a rematch between Clem and Rogue from Liu. True. It's also a rematch between MaxPax and Shin from a previous Open Cup where Shin did defeat MaxPax. So,
and then it's possible we'll have a rematch between Clem and MaxPax in the semifinals. Oh man, the top half of this bracket is absolutely insane. I mean, the bottom half,
it is.
You got some good players in the bottom half, but it's also 3 Terran players, so maybe not as exciting.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think that the top half is very stacked. It's very stacked and very competitive, a little bit more so than the
And also a
bottom
bit
half,
more,
unfortunately.
and
But
also there's a bit of a narrative you can go of in the top half, at least based on recent history.
100%, 100%. So I'm very much so looking forward to it because I can see a world where Clem and MaxPax rematch in the semis. I could see a world where they don't. I can see a world
I
where
could see
Rogue can
Rogue
beat
beating
Clem
Clem
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can
And we
see
get a
Shin
rematch
beating
between Rogue
MaxPax.
and MaxPax. Oh.
Yeah. Could have that rematch as well.
Rematch between Rogue and Shin from Luli.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so much here. So much revenge.
There's a lot going on. Likewise, when it comes to the lower half of the bracket, I think Oliver and Gumiho is going to be quite close in a TVT.
That's going to be the one that's tough to call. I feel like Gumiho has been on fire lately, so I don't want to bet against Gumiho, but also historically, I feel like Oliveira's had really good TBT, so I think right now my gut is telling me that Gumiho might just edge it out in a fight. It may just edge it out 3-2, but I would not be surprised if Oliveira takes it.
Well, I mean, we got to step in now. Okay, we got to step in. We have the playoff. We have the quarterfinals. Yaku from top to bottom.
All right.
Predictions.
All right. Grand finals. God damn it! I wanted to go for Showtime Gumiho grand finals, but that's also not possible.
Oh, true. Okay, hold on.
Because that's the other rivalry.
First, we'll do the quarterfinals, then semis and finals, just because it looks like all this entire bracket is going to play out throughout the entire week. So by the time we get the next PondCast, we'll have a champion. We'll have everything filled out.
All right. What's the punishment if we're wrong?
What do you mean? What punishing anyone?
Because I feel like the last time we did a playoff prediction was in 2023. And Asher Bro very boldly made the prediction that we will have a Zerg player in the grand finals. And if there isn't, well, we all know what happened after that.
True? What happened?
He ate a Vegemite ice cream sandwich.
That's true. True. Oh my god, you just unlocked like a core memory. Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't know if this is a big enough event to have that kind of prediction though.
I only asked because I wanted to know how spicy I should get and how.
Okay.
So we'll go through, and I'm not gonna do heart hidden gut this time. I think just because we have a lot of matches to go through here, so I think I'm just gonna pick one. All right, MaxPax versus Shin. I'm gonna say MaxPax, and I'm gonna say it won't be super close. I'm gonna say MaxPax takes it out. I don't know if we want scores, but for some reason 3-1 is coming in my head, so I'll say MaxPax beats Shin. And then next round there, Rogue beats Clem once again.
Oh, okay.
But it'll be closer this time. It'll be closer this time. It'll be a 3-2.
Are these best of 5?
Yeah. Wait. Let me double check. Yeah, the best of 5s.
Okay.
And so I think Rogue will beat Clem again, but it's going to be closer this time. And so we'll have a MaxPax Rogue semifinals. That I think is also going to come down to the ace match, and when it's tough, you know what? When it's tough to pick a winner, I typically don't go with Rogue, so I'm going to say MaxPax takes the semifinals 3-2 as well, and that makes it through those grand finals. Lower half, Showtime versus Spirit and Oliveira versus Gumiho. I'm going to 100% admit that while I'm trying to blend together my different organs, the lower half quarterfinals is 100% a heart pick. Showtime beats Spirit, Gumiho beats Oliveira, and then we get a rematch between Showtime and Gumiho.
Okay, let's go, the rematches. Okay, does history repeat itself, or
I think this is going to be Showtime's time. I think this is going to be Showtime's time. Well, that's a gut feeling, though. Gumiho has been on fire lately. But he also lost to Nightmare in Home Story Cup qualifiers twice, so maybe weakness in TVP.
True.
But then at the same time, Showtime doesn't play like Nightmare plays, so...
True.
I think Showtime will edge it out. I think Showtime will edge it out. I think Showtime will edge it
Okay.
out, and then we have the PvP Grand Finals, MaxFax
PvP
versus
finals?
Showtime. PvP Finals, yeah. I
Okay.
wouldn't be surprised if Gumiho beats Showtime again, if history repeats itself there. But, yeah, I'm gonna go with MaxFax Showtime Grand Finals.
Okay. I'm gonna say I'm probably gonna agree with a lot of what you said.
I'm surprised.
Honestly, I have a hard time with MaxFax Shin. I think MaxFax is the favorite player. I can see Shin cheesing the hell out of him though, but I guarantee you, it's a best of 5. They're gonna play on Dynasty. They're gonna play on Dynasty, and MaxFax is gonna win.
Yep.
100%. That's gonna happen.
It's all about when Dynasty is played, right? Is it at the start of the series or is it towards the end? And that's gonna be the deciding factor.
So I'm leaning more towards MaxFax. I like, part of me is like, I can see Shin winning that, but I'm gonna go for MaxFax there. When it comes to Clem versus Rogue, I don't think enough time has passed for Clem, especially because of how emotional he was, and I do think eventually he will refine himself and get better responses, and just and have a better way to deal with Rogue's style. I don't think it's been long enough for that. I still think that Rogue will have Clem's number in a best of 5, and I would have to say that Rogue would defeat Clem here, but I could definitely see, logically, I could actually see a world where maybe Clem just goes for a more aggressive route, and tries to end the games earlier instead. Yeah, and maybe tries to end the game earlier to not allow Rogue to even get to that kind of game state where the map is split in half and he's got, like, max out army, mass overseer. It's possible that might be Clem's approach, but I think I'm gonna lean towards Rogue here as well. It's hard to call though. It's so hard. It's so oh god. Showtime versus Spirits. I do think that Showtime is in better form, especially based on the Open Cup results. I would give it to Showtime there. Oliveira versus Gumiho. This is where we probably deviate. It's gotta be Oliveira.
All right.
It's gotta be Penan. Oh my god.
I can 100% see Peinan taking the W on Gumiho, but my heart wants what it wants. I want the rivalry to keep going between Showtime.
That's
and Gumiho,
fair.
man.
It's a good reason. It's a good reason to go for Gumiho, for the Showtime Gumiho rematch. I can understand that. I can get behind it. But I'm still very impressed by Oliveira's TVT at EWC. We saw so much of it. So I want to say that Oliveira's going to take it here, advance on. Showtime versus Oliveira. I'm going to give it to Oliveira there. And so instead of the PvP finals, I would say TVP finals. MaxFax over Rogue. MaxFax will defeat him. And we got MaxFax versus Oliveira in the finals instead.
Yeah, I think that will also be a very exciting match to watch. I don't think Oliveira and MaxFax play against each other too often. Just because, for starters, MaxFax doesn't play in offline events. But also, MaxFax mostly plays in, like, the EU-focused time zones and the EU and NA kind of focused time zones. Occasionally you'll see him in the Asia Open Cups, but that's if he wakes up in time. Whereas Oliveira, unlike most other Terran players, he's not a complete degen, so he doesn't really stay up for the EU Cups and all that. So that would be a pretty exciting match as well.
It would. So if your scenario plays out and you've got the PvP finals between Showtime and MaxFax, who wins it?
I really like the Mauer. My heart is saying the Mauer, but I feel like just logically and brain speaking, I gotta give it to the Demure Dane in MaxFax. I feel like it'll be close, but yeah, my brain and my gut are saying MaxFax. My heart is going for Showtime.
Okay, fair. For MaxFax Oliveira, the last time they played, they went to the Ace match. This was like last week, I think. They went to the Ace match, and the only games that MaxFax won was the games where he went 4-gate blink. He 4-gate blinked the hell out of Oliveira. Whenever he didn't, he would struggle. But I want to believe that Oliveira would have learned from that. Yeah. And I want to believe that Oliveira can bring MaxFax down, but that might be, a bit of my heart speaking. I'd love to see Oliveira take it in the end. That's what I'm going to lean towards. What I will caveat all this on, though, and I think you'd probably agree, that if Clem beats Rogue in the first round of the quarterfinals, he probably wins everything.
Like it's all contingent on that.
Yeah. Like, I feel like Clem's first series is going to be the hardest one of the tournament. If he can defeat Rogue, he wins everything. 100%. 100%. But it's still like a close
I feel
one
like
to
Max
call.
Pax and Shin and literally everyone else are just giving their energy to Rogue right now and be like, all right, take him out. Take him out.
Oh god! Even though we saw Max Pax defeat Clem at Lil Cup, and I mean he had a really good performance there, I still would favor Clem if he did face off against Max Pax in the semifinals. So I feel like
most
a
recently,
lot of
Clem got the 3-0 against Max Pax. So
true happened a couple of days ago. So I feel like a lot of the outcome of this tournament is going to be determined by Clem versus Rogue, and anything could happen from there. But Esther Wardy, why did you see them together in the first round? What's going on with the seeding? What's happening?
It's based on the results in the group stage, so.
SMH.
I didn't make the rules. Well, at the same time, I guess Wardy did make the rules, so.
Yeah, he made the rules. God damn it. So yeah, regardless, this is going to be taking place over the course of next week, over the course of multiple days as well. So do tune in. I'm sure it's going to be a great event. I think it's going to be 2 days. I think day 1 is quarterfinals and day 2 is semis and then grand finals.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, by the time we come into our next podcast, we will be able to have a result for you. We'll be able to update you guys on that, and we'll see who ends up being punished.
Yeah, there you go. We'll see what predictions come through. Meanwhile, shout out to Jadel for subscribing for 35 months. I do apologize for missing you earlier, but did subscribe, did resub. So thank you so much for the support. The Dolph in the chat. I see some other predictions coming in the chat as well. I see someone predicting Rogue versus Showtime in the finals, or Rogue versus Oliveira. There's a lot of faith in Rogue in the chat, and I understand it, but I think like we both agreed that we would favor Max Pax over Rogue, like just because of like their historic result as well in the Lulu Cup. It's
Then again, I can see a path to victory here for Rogue if Shin beats Max Pax, which, as you pointed out, is very possible. And if Rogue beats Clem again, which I think most people are expecting, I 100% think that Rogue will beat Shin there, and so there's a path. There's a path to the finals here for Rogue.
There is, yeah, you're not wrong. There is a path to the finals here. If you know things go differently in other portions of the bracket, but regardless, best of luck to all these players. Again, check out Wardy's channel for the broadcast of this event in English at least, and check out some of the other channels for some other language coverage. You know, Ryung, Rex, Take TV, Indie, TKL, and many others.
True.
Cast in other languages.
That's why he wasn't. That's why he didn't play. He was casting.
True. Ryung, he's been casting more recently. He's been putting in the work.
He's been streaming a lot more. Every time I look at his stream title is always like Clem, but spelled with a K, and then like a 1 point something something or a 2 point something something. I'm like, what's going on here, buddy? What's going on, Mr. Dongwon?
Yeah, I think it was last night where I think he's Clem 1.37 or 1.38. He's slowly becoming more refined? ? I don't know. I don't know what's happening. God damn it.
But Clem spelled with a K, if anyone missed that. So
yeah, Korean Clem. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Exactly. But yeah, do check it out. And with that, I believe that is going to be all the events of the week.
Yeah, we've hit the end of the list, or our topic list. So, as usual, we round things off with a reminder to our viewers that the open sign-up list is ever updated and has been updated recently to look into, for you to keep your eye out on some other events to watch, or more importantly, to participate in as well. Open to anyone out there.
Yeah, we have the sign-up list, which should be viewable here on the screen. We do have the Play Open Cup, Play Open number 5 tomorrow. That is a Vietnamese-only tournament, so do check that out for some Vietnamese on Vietnamese action. We have the KSL this weekend. We have SDC. We have, what I should say is potentially TTT. Just quickly, if you notice, we actually didn't cover Tenacious Turtle Tussle this week, which has been a weekly for 6 weeks. It was sponsored to be a weekly for 6 weeks. But moving forward, it is going to be switching to a bi-weekly instead. Potentially, we still have to iron things out, so there might not be a turtle tussle next week. We'll keep you guys informed.
But if you do want a tenacious turtle tussle, exclamation mark Patreon in the chat. We'll bring you to the CranKy Ducklings Patreon page. If we do get more funding over there, then yeah, we're going to be able to make TTT more of a regular thing. I mean, that's why we were able to bring it back for 6 weeks, is we actually did secure a sponsor for those 6 weeks, and yeah, that's why we were able to make it weekly. But that, yeah, they were upfront. They did mention that they were only able to cover us for those 6 weeks, so we knew what we were getting into there, and we knew that it was going to come to an end. And so now it's up to you, our viewers.
Yeah. I mean, the assumption was that the off season would be a little bit shorter. So it's like, you know what, 6 weeks, I got you covered to like fill in for ESL. But the off season is lasting a little bit longer. So it's so you know, as a result, don't have as regular of those turtle tussles, but they could happen in the future. As you mentioned, exclamation mark Patreon, support us if you wish. If you want some more of these tournaments, you can support us via Patreon. Otherwise, this week we also have other events.
You can also subscribe to the Twitch channel, and I will leave you the emotes as well. But yeah, I do know that Twitch raised their prices recently, so I think for many of you, Patreon might be a bit more feasible.
Also, I would like to point out that something that's not on the list is the Stego Monday Cup, because it is Pig has stepped up, and he will be, as I understand, he will be like co-sponsoring that, and they are currently figuring out the name for the event.
Yep. Pigosaurus.
That's got to be it, right? The Pigosaurus Cup, or the Stego Ig Cup.
Stegig, the Stig.
The Stig.
Is that copyrighted?
I think that's copyrighted. I don't think we can call it that. Like we're both immediately like, oh, we can't use that. No, never mind.
No, fucking James May would just be knocking down our door.
Hi. So yeah, it is exciting to hear. We'll see what the next name of that tournament is going to be. But yes, next week we have the World TV Monday. We have the Code for Giants Cup, which is a Brazilian only bi-weekly tournament. We have the StarCraft Evolution League, and of course the next Sparkling Tuna Cup as well. So plenty of open cups there. Once other events become available, we will be sure to fill in. I just realized as well that we were actually missing some tournaments that I guess did not occur this week. But the Stormy Cup. Remember in the previous editions we had like a bunch of events held and casted by
Viking?
Not Viking.
Or
was it Viking?
Yes. Something along those lines. Something like Scandinavian-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, but I guess this week they didn't take place.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, we had a couple of other like big events coming in here that did take up the time, or did take up some of our high-profile players' time. So yeah, it's understandable if they were postponing it, as was what we did with SEC, and also what OSC did with their weeklies.
Yeah. I mean, if they come back, then we'll inform you of the next events. Otherwise, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you so much, Yaku, for joining me here tonight once again for another PondCast. Do appreciate it.
Yeah, great to be here. Glad that I could get updated along with the audience.
Let's go. And when it comes to the next time that we see a Yaku cast or a Yaku stream, when's that happening? Yaku, what's going on?
We'll see. We'll see. I was gonna say Halloween stream, but I realized that Halloween this year falls on a Thursday, so I'll probably be here in the podcast instead.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll play that by ear. I'm expecting to be a bit more busy, is how I'll put it in the next couple of weeks. So I guess that's how I would put that. But if I do end up streaming, twitch.tv/yakuzaku1. Sometimes I also stream on !Discord, which will bring you to the CranKy Ducklings Discord server, where I'm there, Light is there, Kuro is there, everyone's there, and if you're a sub, you can watch me smoach. Sometimes when I'm laddering or something, and I'm like, you know what? If I have to endure all of this, I might as well make sure I'm not the only one.
Sometimes. All the time.
All the time. It's all the time. It's just that I don't ladder that often anymore. So.
Uh-huh. Oh, good. Oh, good. But yeah, definitely check out Yaku's channel. You can follow myself, Latin_VIP on Twitch and Twitter. I do stream throughout the week. I was streaming yesterday with some StarCraft, with some Final Fantasy. I didn't stream today just because we were busy just, organizing and creating thumbnails and scheduling VODs, but I should be streaming tomorrow. So tomorrow I should be live on my channel. If you want to tune into me laddering, you can tune into a ladder stream. Likewise, the smudge is also real, as it always is when laddering StarCraft. Feels bad, man, but you can tune in if you wish. Otherwise, our next cast on this channel should be on the weekend. Should be Saturday. Saturday is going to be the KSL, the Korean StarCraft League, alongside Master Swan Open, our bi-weekly amateur event for players 4.7k and below.
I need to set an alarm. I'm gonna do it now so that I don't forget. What time is it KSC? It's 6 p.m. KSC, right?
I believe so.
I'll set my alarm to 1 p.m. KST.
Okay.
Or a little before 1 p.m. KST. Oh, my phone.
Yeah, if you're out
on cam, but.
If you're out there, if you want to compete, if you're below the MMR of 4.7k, then you can play in our tournament that we're going to be hosting on Saturday. Again, Master Swan Open. Otherwise, shout out to Kuro. Kuro was handling the production. Kuro was also able to give some rough translations earlier from the Infolet League.
We were able to fill in the rest of the blanks.
Yeah, which there were many of. Yaku.
Yeah.
Some expert Polish of Yaku the Zaku. Thank you for that as well, for the impromptu translations.
The trick is that you have to remember Polish is reverse Indonesian.
Yeah.
That's
so basically, you just speak Indonesian backwards and you go Polish.
Exactly.
Or speak it upside down.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. I think I can hear Kurt confirming. In the production room.
I can see her right now nodding along.
Yeah. She agrees. So with that, again, if you want to tune in or support Kuro, who's handling the production, Kuro does also often stream on her own channel. Kuro, production. When's the next stream? When are we seeing some more Kuro?
When are we getting the
That is a
karaoke
good
stream?
question, actually. I mean, potentially maybe tomorrow or something, but I mean, depends. It depends. As I said, for now, I still have a lot of things to do, a lot of things to sort out. We do stream Final Fantasy XIV with Light at least once a week, so you can look forward to that. But other than that, for my solo streams, I still have to figure out my schedule, but they will be coming eventually. I definitely want to stream in winter, so we will see.
When it's cold. Cookie stream.
Oh.
It's mostly that like in winter it's just dark very early, so you sit at home anyway, so might as well stream, right?
Oh right, I forgot that's a thing with seasons, is that the light can change, the sunlight can change.
Doesn't happen in Singapore. Doesn't happen. But with that, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for the support. Our next PondCast is going to be next week. It is a weekly show, just a way to round up all the events of the week here in StarCraft. Again, if we missed anything, if you want us to talk about, either a tournament or a topic, then let us know on Discord, and we will be on top of that. We will add it to the next topic plan or the next topic list. Otherwise, thanks so much, and we'll see you guys over the weekend for our next tournament cast.
Yeah, we'll see you then.
Also quickly,
Ciao.
before we go, Steelbot just subscribed for 70-month streak.
Woo! 70 months. He's no longer 69.
No. All right, time to unsub and then go through it all over again.
Oh no. Thank you so much, Steelmo. Thank you so much, Steek, for all the support. Again, Steelmo did start the CranKy Ducklings alongside us way back many years ago.
One of our very first subs, if I remember correctly.
Much love.
Not the first, I think that's Soko. But they subbed it around the same time, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, much
so much
appreciated.
watching.
Quack.
We're not quack. we're not quacking 70 times.
Oh.
No. That's not happening. That's not happening. But thank you so much everyone for tuning in. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys over the weekend. Until then, hasta luego.
Hasta la vista.
Ciao.
Bella.